You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the M.T.V.B. podcast, a podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects. That's movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games.
I'm your host, Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome. This week's episode, we're going to go back to the movies side of it, and we're going to talk about our top 5 war movies of all time. I'm joined around the table by the guys that love to talk about war movies. Guys, introduce yourselves around the table, please.
Hi guys, it's JK47.
John Whiff.
John Whiff.
Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm just a fan.
Welcome back, sir.
Welcome back.
And I am H, the man with two lists.
He's a regular now, isn't he, pretty much?
Yes.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for coming on and doing this episode.
It's going to be interesting.
War movies, how was the list?
Hard.
Yes.
Well, you sunk my battleship.
Oh, you just added a new one.
God, yeah.
So the issue with this is like, where do we go with the war movie side of this? It's technically kind of Chris's fault because I met him a couple of days before this episode, and it's like, how do you class a war film? You know, so obviously we're going to talk about that in a moment, though. But I'm in the same boat as everyone here. I think mine's been in back and forth, and where are we going with this? What are we adding? What are we taking off?
Yeah.
So I imagine, obviously, Howard, 2 lists. This must have been so fucking difficult for you. I'm so sorry.
And based on that, I'm afraid I'm letting you guys down. It's just one list.
It's one list, H. No, that's
However,
fair enough because I threw him out under the bus last minute.
I made a curated list this time. So these are some of my most favourite war films of all time.
Wow,
and
okay.
We'll talk through it later.
Yeah, similar with me. They're not necessarily my 5 favourite war films. They are 5 films from my favourite collection of films, shall we say.
Okay.
So,
but I assume everyone's going to have honourable mentions for this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right then. We can make that the upper list then. Is your honourable
that's
mentions.
fine. Yeah.
Chris, how was your list, mate?
3 miles long.
It was hard because there was some films that I really wanted to watch and talk about, but I haven't watched them for so long.
Oh, I don't think
I've been trying to find them like on a streaming service. I managed to watch one on YouTube, but like it was such a chore, and I was like, I can't sit. I know they're one of my favourite, but I can't sit there and talk about it in depth without not knowing what I'm talking about. And it's really kind of hard. So they're going to be on my honourable mentions, and I'm kind of hoping that some of them are on other people's.
I think the explanation as to why it might be hard on this one, but I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into huge detail on it.
Well, you're bloody better this.
And I think I'm going to take.
He wants to push that story time. With
we need to push this to 3 hours episode.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think I'm going to take one out, one classic.
Yeah.
And we know it's on. It's got to be on someone's list. So
yeah,
we're just gonna all
I'm
talk
pretty
about,
sure at least
we'll all
one
talk
of
about
mine's
it
on the
then
list.
because
So
we're just allow it to have a bit of a variety.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 3 or 4 of mine that are not on anyone's list, but there's got to be at least one of mine, surely.
Yes.
So we'll see.
So let's do the normal thing. We do a bunch of questions and then we'll go straight to the top 5. So obviously, war movies. Do you like war movies, and why do you like war movies?
I like war movies because it's honestly one of the earliest memories of ever doing anything, picking up a stick, pretending it's a gun,
Yeah.
or some sort, you know, with your mates from Nerf to everything, always played war or some sort. And it was just,
kids today playing Call of Duty is no different, really, is it?
Yeah, and my nan, like where we used to live in Torquay, she had a massive garden, but on the back of it we had this giant woods.
Oh,
and
wow,
we managed to get full
mate.
army gear and just played army.
You were
full-
That's like an
Commandos
adventure
for the
playground
day.
where it doesn't know it's an adventure playground.
Literally, yeah. So it's one of my earliest. So as soon as I see it, I know I'm going to get a good film.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I like. And
There's usually action, pretty good story. There might, even, like I said, there could be good actors in it and stuff. So there's always something good in a war film, really, isn't
literally, even like the army recruitment advert where they come out of the war, like, well, I'm just too tall, I get shot.
Be the best. Yeah, that was it. Yes.
It is, yeah.
But like, yeah, I'm sold. The moment like either a chopper comes in from a trailer,
Get to that
I'd be like, yes, I'm sold. You take my money.
yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Literally, I will watch pretty much most of them and then make my decision. But you've already got me hooked because I know it's going to be a battle. I like a true story.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to
same
be
here.
proper because I don't know my history.
Right. Well, I might go into a question there, so don't go into too much
Okay,
just
so
yet.
like there's stuff like all of that. So I know I like a story. I go, well, there's a battle, or something happened, and I go, yes,
Okay.
that's.
So you both kind of... Howard, what's your opinion on that? Why do you like war movies?
No, I agree, Chris. I think when you're a little boy and you gravitate towards one genre or another, and it will normally be war films.
Yes.
For me, it was westerns.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes, you mentioned that before.
I like
or,
westerns as
yeah,
well,
or the pirate genre. So we all grow up and we all get into our own things, and everybody knows I love my science fiction. But yeah, when you're a kid, I think war or anything with the opportunity to dress up.
Express yourself, sort of thing.
Express yourself.
Well, it is.
I was going to say, calm down, Madonna. But yeah, absolutely. So no, I think, like I say, Chris has got it on
the money.
Yeah.
I think the 80s, being like, you know, the Arnies, the Stallones,
Oh, hell
always
yeah.
a gun. So it didn't have to be, you just.
With military backgrounds.
Military background.
Didn't they?
Yeah.
So... Do they class as war movies?
Yeah, like.
Which is going to be my next question to you guys.
Oh,
so, in your opinion, what class is a war movie to be a war movie?
I was going to say they bloody better.
I classed it as anything from yesterday backwards. So, like, in the past. So I didn't go for anything sci-fi, even though I could have gone down the Starship Troopers route. Like, I can't.
We'll save that for another episode. That'll be right up Howard's alley. We'll get free lists out of him for that.
Battles, wars, or conflict, or a engagement of sorts
Yeah.
Yeah.
between a military or
one
some
side against
sort of
another one, yeah.
So does it have to be historical?
No.
No, but it's already historical being set behind.
Yeah.
You know, so like you've already kind of.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a true story. I think most
I'd
of them
have-
are pitch and pat, so they take bits. and
Yeah,
they're
I mean,
like-
I'd have slightly more interest in it if it was, say, based on a true event or, you know, or actual event sort of thing. I'd have a slightly more interest in it. In what,
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
I'd watch it regardless, but I'd be interested to see, you know, the portrayal of the true event sort of thing, you know, because it's one thing to read about it, it's another thing to actually kind of see it.
Yeah.
Even though it might not, I mean, the film might be an exact replica of what happened, or it might just be, it might have a little bit of artistic license regarding it. But it's nice to kind of see it rather than just simply read it, you know. So yeah, so if I know there's a war film coming out and it's kind of based on a true event or slightly based on true events, then I'll have a slightly more interest in wanting to watch it.
So would you class like just a movie based around that time? Like it's just a story set in World War II, but you don't actually see anything World War. Would you class that as a war film?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's set during the war, isn't it? So,
I mean, there's a recent comedy. Is it Jojo Rabbit?
Jojo.
Yeah.
So would you class that as a war film?
It's
I
set
don't
during a
think
time
so.
of conflict.
I think
Yes.
there's got to be that terror of it could be
Yeah.
at any moment. They're
'Cause it's-
coming.
'cause it's
The
like-
terror's there. Like they're gearing up. It can't be a case of this could happen down the line. It's already wheels are in motion. Like
What about Overlord?
yeah, exactly. You see, now I didn't put it on my list, but I did think of it, funny enough, today.
Don't know that.
'Cause
Is it a war movie or is it a horror movie?
Well, it's a bit of both, really, isn't it?
Huh?
But yeah, I know.
Okay, yeah, I'm not denying it.
I know.
But yeah.
I know what you're saying. It's like the Jojo Rabbit is more, for me, it's more comedy.
Yeah.
It is. It is set supposedly set during the war and that, but it's. There's no conflict there.
But there is some realistic moments, like he sees his mum get hanged and stuff like that. So there is like a bit of realism to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah. So, but it's
the realization of the war, should I say? Sorry.
Yeah. So, but like with Overlord is more. I think it starts off as a war film and then kind of goes into horror, then doesn't it? So. Yeah,
most definitely.
So it would cross both box or tick both boxes, really, that one, wouldn't it?
Okay. So does a war movie have to be historically accurate for you to enjoy it? I mean,
no.
There's, for example, there's a war movie in my honourable list that I really enjoyed when I saw it in the cinema when it first came out. I won't say what it is just yet in case it's on someone's list. But again, I was very much like Chris. I'm not very into my history. I mean, I know the ins and outs of it, but I don't know some parts of the war, why this is this, why this happened. So when I found out this movie was no way in any shape or form historically accurate, it didn't put me off it at all, but it kind of like made me feel like, well, I don't like telling you guys I like this movie because you're only just come out and going, it's so fucking historically bollocks down.
Well, no, but I mean, the war film is a war film. For me, the clue is in war. It's a conflict of some kind. It doesn't have to be historically accurate. It depends on what the conflict is.
It wouldn't put you off watching it, that's what I'm saying.
No.
What about you guys?
I think without a little bit of liberal interpretation as to the facts of what happened in certain conflicts, you wouldn't have... It would just be straightforward killing, moving on to the next campaign, killing...
There has to be something.
Yeah, just to spice it up a little bit. I suppose, and Americans do this very, very well. They'll insert themselves into any conflict and tell the rest of the world
that they won it.
They won it. But so you'd throw in a bit of a love interest, or you or a bit of a rivalry, or
a bit of horror, a bit of comedy, whatever.
Absolutely,
and I think, it all out.
I think it's almost necessary, really, because if you went for absolute 100% historically accurate, it might be a bit boring.
Yeah. I was about to say that.
It's like TV, isn't it? When they try on the true bit, they have to dramatise it a bit just to keep you watching, isn't it?
I mean, I won't say what this particular TV programme was, but I watched it a good few months back. Very, very good, about a British robbery that took place several decades ago. I know the facts about this case very, very well, but there was elements of it that they...
Twisted
and spiced up again. Tweaked for the sake of putting it out to
keeping everybody interested in watching it. Yeah, more likely.
I knew this.
Yeah,
didn't stop me enjoying it.
No.
Yeah. I think it's got.
I think you kind of expect it now, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
Because I mean, like you say, if they 100% accurately historically portray an event, it would be boring.
I think.
Because it'll just be like so and so stalks so and so, shoots them, game over. Do you know what I mean? Well, you've got to have there's got to be a story there somewhere. So you can why are these two sides at conflict with each other and so on? So you can add things, you can spice it up, you can turn it into a 2-hour movie.
Of course you can.
So as long as the background is
it's
sound,
all down to interpretation.
It doesn't matter what else you add into it. Yeah. It doesn't bother me anyway. So
nice.
I like it, because obviously you got the American and the English sort of rivalry thing, but then whenever I go then to watch a full American film, I just sit there as like an ally. I'm full kind of American at that point, just kind of, even though you never really kind of believe, but I'm always invested in their side of the story. Even when I step back, I'm like, you know how I kind of like, it doesn't bother me if I'm watching an American version or an English version. Like, I just like anything from the SAS to like the Navy SEALs. You get two interpretations, but when I'm watching them, I'm believing they're the best at that point. I'm not sitting there, our boys.
You're not rooting for a side specifically.
I'm not going, our boys would do this better, or that gun's out. That gun's definitely not in the one that they would use. It's, you don't hold it like that. Like, That's not me, you know.
I think any good war film should do that. Shouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it should get you immerse you in it, and then make you want to believe that you're either an American, you're just an ally. Basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
You're along for the ride, sort of thing.
Exactly. Here we go. Hold on to your butts.
Now, obviously, you mentioned Chris, that war movies are kind of for you from now backwards, and we have pretty much a big full variety of war movies now. Apart from going from the futuristic or the sci-fi element side to it, what are your thoughts on the future of war films? Because they're kind of been and done now. I mean, do you think they could carry on making another film about Nazis, another film about and whatnot?
Because there's literally so many documentaries I've watched and I've gone, when's that going to be a film? Or I look for it and I'm like...
Another film about Nazis looking for the Lost Ark.
I know it's one of those, but...
Even Hellboy's technically a war film in a way. Sometimes got Nazis in it.
It's a bad thing to say, but the moment I kind of see them on the screen, I'm kind of like, kind of got me. There's going to be something. There's going to be a reason.
You're intrigued because the Nazi symbol's up.
Yeah, because of Indiana Jones or the. You know, like they're always the bad guys. You know, but you always.
I think
apart from one film, and then
you can never stop telling these stories. I mean, even within the last few years,
it's unfair to. I think they earned the right to have their stories told forever.
Chris is right. Yeah, with warfare, it was done for a reason, and for whatever conflict it was, these men, these women went to war and spared their lives for everybody else. So, tell that story.
Yeah.
I mean, within the last couple of years, there's been some really, really good films that you think, it's been done. But you watch this film, you just think that was bloody amazing.
It was done very well then.
Yeah. And maybe same story with a different spin, but people still go and see it. People still enjoy it. So, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of older war films from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe even into the 70s, even that could be remade now.
Yeah,
with young up and coming actors, and I know it means having to add a bit of CGI and stuff like that into it, but that if it's done right, they can make a really good film out of it. Not taking away anything from the original, but they might be able to tell a story slightly better now because obviously they can do things now that they couldn't do then.
Yeah.
So. You know, I don't think you're going to get... I don't think there is a point where you can say, I've had it, I don't want to see any more war films. To me, I don't care.
There'll be a story or a film coming out from the conflict that we sort of got now, you know, like the Ukraine and the Russia.
Yeah,
at some point when that does, that will become war films.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
If they're not already making it, probably.
The issues that we got, all the civil unrest, like, at some point... They might become war films, you know, like there'll be battle and conflict.
There's always
going to be.
You said about anything historical, like the Twin Towers. You knew there was going to be a movie out of that at one point and stuff. So, and then we got 3 of them in India or something. Then COVID happened. There was like 5 movies.
So there's always stuff. I'm like, new material. That's just the way I think. It's a kind of sometimes I'm like,
it's kind of harsh in a way, isn't it? It's like people died. More material to make a
movie.
It
is, but it's true though.
War is money.
It's it.
Yeah. It's like newspapers, you know. If it sells a story, it's going to make the money. So
yeah. I'm kind of out of questions, but I've got one more thing that John wanted to mention. John wanted to mention that war films are
bloody gory.
I was wondering when that would come out.
Does anyone have any questions? If not, we will go straight to the top 5s.
No, not really. I think you covered them all. Those are good questions, they were.
If you have any, throw them in. But later on, we'll go to the top 5s. Let's do it.
It's time for a top 5.
Right, so obviously everyone knows the rules to this. If we clash, don't worry about it. Hold it in until you get your 2 cents. Yeah. Obviously, we're still in season 7, so we roll the dice. Anyone would like to go first? Go on, Chris.
You go first.
We got 11.
11, okay.
Round the table.
Good start.
Over to you. Man with 2 lists. 20 again. Can we beat it? Can we beat a 20?
Can we get 2 20s?
7. No, come on, John. Ooh. See if you get a 20 now. Come on, Sam. 16. Howard wins. Right, so we'll go from Howard's and around clockwise, yeah? Happy with that, yeah?
Yeah.
So, guys, if we don't mention your war film, there are a shit ton of these. You should have been in this episode. Bollocks to you. Number 5.
Number 5.
Howard, over to you, sir. So no 2 lists, just the 1 list. This is a genuine...
Yeah, and like I said, a bit more of a curated list this week. And I'll label the topic as left field, non-standardised war film. So not necessarily an absolute historical conflict or something that we're all familiar with. So, no tanks on the field, no well-known battles. Number 5
Oh,
Come on.
we got a drum roll.
is Dunkirk.
Oh, Mr. Nolan's Dunkirk.
I didn't want to
Nolan's
put that
Dunkirk.
on my list because I was to me,
It's an honourable mention for me, definitely.
Yeah. What film?
Think of what you will about Christopher Nolan. I mean, I personally enjoy his films.
I like his films.
I do. And obviously there was a really big one recently.
It was,
set
yes.
during wartime. Could you consider it a war film? Very possibly.
Yeah, I would. I definitely would.
Yeah, so 2017 with names like Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, Mark Rylance, Tom Hardy, and unfortunately Harry Styles.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad,
It
though.
wasn't.
No, he was
No,
all right.
he was all right.
He was
Like,
all right. And
yeah.
it
You
was
had to know him to know it was him.
yeah, and I joke, but yeah, I actually don't mind him.
Yeah.
No,
He was all right.
He's not in that much, though.
No,
in fairness.
No, and it was his first appearance in a
he
motion.
didn't sing.
You didn't sing.
Thank God.
Christ, yeah. With that, a nice Hans Zimmer score. On that note, the one thing that I really, really like about this film, so it concentrates purely on the effort of getting our guys off that beach and back home on the retreat. So the evacuation of Dunkirk in 1940 during the Battle of France. There was little dialogue.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, Tom Hardy, pretty, like,
I think
just
he said-
flying around. I think he says, like, 14, like, 15.
Yeah,
like,
if that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't tell, can you? He's got a mask on.
But he does the same in that. But his facial expressions and the way he moves around it
Says a lot.
awesome.
Yeah, speaks volumes. And it was funny because it wasn't until the end of that film I did not click that was Tom Hardy. So right at the end, when he takes his mask off, I was like, oh, bloody hell, Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so even with just his eyes, very, very well done, very well acted. And yeah, like I say, little dialogue and the music and the atmosphere and the tension does it all, I
Yeah, it
think.
builds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it
builds.
technically like 3 different stories
Yeah.
trying to connect
Yeah.
with one another
It
and
is.
stuff as
And
well?
But each story is a different length of time.
Yeah.
So I think is it the first bit's a week, and then it goes down to is it a day, and then it goes down to
Then
an
it goes
hour.
into hours,
but
yeah.
but it's the building up, that,
Yeah.
and that the end of that week is happening at the end of this day, and it's happening in that hour. So all 3 events are happening at the same time. It's
Yeah.
such a clever way of doing it.
And the thing is that put a lot of people off of
Yeah.
this film, and I
'Cause it was going
I
backwards,
freaking love
wasn't
this
it?
film, by the way.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, this probably would have been my number 6, but
Yeah, it's higher on mine, so it
I
would
remember
have been,
when I used to do reviews on Facebook, and I would put it up, and I gave it like a 5 out of 5, and so many people come at me like, it didn't make any fucking sense. It was like 3 different stories. It's like. You clearly have not watched a Christopher Nolan film, or one of his early ones at least. Anyway,
and it did say
If you're not confused as
over the
fuck,
week
then
and
it's
over
not a
the
Nolan film.
it did tell you
That's
in the
it,
film.
exactly.
And I thought, seriously,
It does
what's
exactly what
not
it says
to
on the
get?
tin, and yeah. So, like I say, non sort of standard, but it told 3 individual stories, and it packed a powerful punch, especially for me. And that last scene, at the very end when Hardy's he's done his bit, and he's just gliding over the beach,
Saving them. Like, just doing it last.
Yeah, and he's doing his sort of lap of honour, and then he sort of pulls out his landing gear, lands, and obviously, something else. I won't, for anybody else hasn't seen it. But and it really hits home.
Yeah.
And that's where Chris was saying, whether it's a film made by Americans about Americans, a film made by the British about the British, or vice versa,
It doesn't matter.
it gets you on board.
I think we really need to kind of highlight here what this movie kind of highlights. What you should get is the sliding doors moment that we could have had in World War II. Because if they get wiped out there, we don't win the war at all.
Yeah.
We are done.
That was a
we
pivotal
are,
battle.
We are
It was,
totally screwed. We had to get them home.
Well, it wasn't even a battle.
and it's kind of like
It was an evacuation.
It was an evacuation, but
Yeah.
like if we didn't get them home,
Yeah.
we were like.
But it was a battle in itself to do
Yeah,
that.
to
I mean,
get them
imagine
home,
the
yeah.
amount of people that they had to get off
Yeah,
those beaches before
yeah.
anything happened to them,
Yeah.
and they did it.
I think Cillian Murphy plays a good shell.
again, he's barely in it as well.
he
But
plays
he's
a shell shock victim so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
the
remember
terror-
that part?
Yeah.
like he does that poor kid.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
inside.
and the fact that after the event, he's like, because obviously that's affected him as well. So he was already
Not
shocked.
going back.
No, he was already shell shocked, and then he couldn't deal with that situation, and it just I mean, whether that character is real or not, the individual would have gone away and thought about that for the rest of their life. So yeah, played very well.
And being a comic book person, sir, you are. Did you know that a lot of people rate as Tom Hardy's character in that was the origin of Bane?
Seriously?
Because he wears a mask and obviously gets captured by Nazis and they beat him up and disfigure him to have the mask.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Even though it's like 60 years
Yeah.
in the past from when...
Another universe, yeah.
Another universe as well. People were like, oh, this is the origin story of Bane.
You got a regular Facebook. They go, the dark theory about that is... Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, fun, but yeah, bizarre.
Absolutely.
Anything else on that, sir?
No. I think the only little fact I managed to retrieve about it was the fact that it was the highest grossing World War II film at $527 million. Wow. And it was only recently surpassed by Oppenheimer.
Wow.
He's another his own film?
Another Chris Nolan.
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. He blew his own ship out of the water with his other ship.
That's it.
Yeah.
Toppled his own film.
Did.
Yeah. Right. We're going to go clockwise, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, so you got to go last, Chris?
Yeah,
You okay to go last? Yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
My number 5, I saw this over last minute. I've picked We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Vietnam film.
Honourable mention for me.
The reason I picked this film, it's...
True event.
True event is probably one of my favourite Vietnam films, and people are going to kick on my ass because they're like, "Oh no, Apocalypse Now is like the best one."
No, it's not.
That's your opinion. That's fine. I picked this movie because being an action junkie, everyone knows if you listen to the podcast, I'm quite an action junkie. This movie, like proper,
kicks ass.
It starts and it never stops.
Yeah.
There's literally like an opening scene where an American crew is in Vietnam and they're setting up camp. And the next minute, a guy's fucking neck gets blown up by a sniper, and then it's this a little bit of action, and then after that, we get our story for Mel Gibson being like he used to be a sergeant, and he's come back to help the Vietnam War and stuff like that. Recruits like new set of youngsters to go to Vietnam, and as soon as they land, there's like this epic copter scene where they're flying through the air and all these copters, whatnot. And as soon as there's this literally scene where Mel Gibson puts his foot down. And then from there, it does not stop. And it's like nearly an hour and 40 minutes of just non-stop action. Even like when they set foot on, the landing zone, from when they go to nighttime. That's so intense, that scene, because they order to shoot flares in the air so they can see in the dark. Next minute, they're just surrounded by all these, Vietnamese soldiers around them and whatnot. It's like, it's gripping, it's action-packed, it's terrifying sometimes. It's a big realization to... the use of napalm in this film as well, how it can affect him, because there's like a scene where a guy picks up another guy and his skin just peels off like hot knife through butter and stuff like that. Some of the secret things that they used at the military, the United States military, is called Broken Arrow. Which was that was the signal to fucking napalm the shit out of everything, and I never knew about that. I thought Broken Arrow was like a nuclear weapon sort of phrase, but it's not.
So there was a film called Broken Arrow, wasn't it? Yeah, I think the meaning of the terminology shifted as warfare went on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and again, there are some stupidly cheesy moments in it. Of course, Mel Gibson's going to be the hero and be the survivor and stuff, but. There's like a scene where there's a guy from one of the guys from American Pie is in it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a hero," and then he gets shot. And when he got shot and died, I was like, fuck you!" I was like, "Thank God that cheesy bit didn't last as long." But it's a cracking film, man. It's just one that I'm not going to die. I took my girlfriend to see this at the time, and she couldn't give a shit. But I was like, as soon as that bloke's neck got shot, I was like hooked from there, and I was like. Again, I don't know much about Vietnam. I knew about the war, but I didn't know about the outcome of it. I didn't realise that the Vietnamese actually won it and stuff as well. That's a big thing in that film as well. Big realisation to that as well. It's also how very much like, your other typical war films, never leave a man behind. It was like their goal to do that. But then sometimes when you're just completely surrounded by half a country in one field, you can't do that. You literally just have to go and stuff. And then there's that other scene where obviously... Spoiler alert, Mel Gibson survives, but he is the last man to leave. He's the first man on that landing zone. He's the last man.
I love his speech.
Because it's a true story.
The speech is epic, but when, again, it's the reverse. When he comes, the boot comes off and he goes on that thing, you have like this big... We just went through an hour and 40 minutes of just non-stop total carnage. It did... Yeah, it's... it's got to go on there regardless. It was very close to being in the 6 to 10, but I had to push it on there quickly because again, I think I just really, dig this movie. I mean, this is like the second one with Mel Gibson. I think he directed the second one, which is Hacksaw Ridge or something. I think it's called. But yeah, what a movie! So that's why it's got to go on there for me.
But it's based on a true story, and Mel Gibson's character.
He was a real sergeant or lieutenant or whatever.
This is one of the ones that I've only seen once.
This
is the one that this is one of the ones I've only seen once, and I know I loved it.
You remembered this?
His speech, his foot down, and then boom. And is it the film where there's a load of platoon just stuck behind a little hill?
That's it.
And,
yeah,
and I was thinking.
They were surrounded.
But I wasn't sure if it was the same.
Because they had all the underground burrows and everything. Yeah. They were just totally...
They weren't far, but they were like, we need to get them out. Yeah, it was awesome.
It was also... on the side note, there's kind of like a good side to what... Well, I say good side, but again, realisation of the women of these soldiers, the effect on them, because they were literally... shivering every day that the postman didn't come to them and delivered that message saying, your husband's fallen in... Your boyfriend's, killed in action or whatever sort of thing. Because obviously Mel Gibson's wife go through that, but all of her other friends receive that letter, but she doesn't. No. But to be there and comfort her friends and stuff is just like, how could that have been through any war? Of course, I'd hate to go through that every morning. Just feel, oh fucking hell, this is going to be the day. Today's going to be the day. Yeah. So yeah,
and I think it's very pertinent to show scenes like that because it can be very easy. Yeah, just to show.
It's easily forgotten.
Yeah,
that side
and all of the balls to the wall sort of blood and thunder. But yeah, when you consider the fact that people were waiting at home,
there's mums and dads and brothers and sisters and wives and sons and daughters are all waiting.
It kind of it's a tale to tell. Just a reminder of the fact that why people went to war and what the outcome of that was.
So yeah, that's my number 5. John, what is your number 5, sir?
My number 5 is a film from 2014, I believe, quite a recent one, The Monuments Men with George Clooney.
Okay, that's the comedy. Is it comedy-ish?
Well, it's not a comedy, but it's
explain.
It's my number 5 as well.
Okay,
is it?
So you can jump in if you want, or you can wait for your turn. It's entirely to you.
We might as well bounce off.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's a true. It's loosely based on a true story. The group of people actually did exist, but they've changed the names of them, and some of the things that happen in it, they kind of changed it a little bit. But George Clooney himself said it's about 80% true story, and not a lot of people realise this because. Obviously, with a war film, you're expecting to see battles and tanks and planes and soldiers and stuff. And the nature of the Second World War with the Nazis, they plundered their way, basically. They invaded the countries, stole all the riches, and then when they got kicked out, they took all the riches and the gold and the paintings and everything with them.
Okay.
So this curator of a museum goes to the president of America and basically says, look, they are pillaging Europe. And all the great works, all the great statues and the paintings, somebody needs to save them for future, for the future.
It sounds like the Simpsons episode.
Hitler's building his own super museum for after the war.
Right.
He's putting everything in there. He's taking everything.
Like valuable paintings.
All from the Jews, all from the Holocaust. Right. And he's going into every museum and he's just taking...
They're literally pillaging everything. Plundering everything.
Ark of the Covenant.
This was an established fact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He did
This is why I love this film, because sometimes I know I like a war film, so I don't need a blood...
No, I don't need blood and guts.
Don't need blood and guts all the time.
I've watched this film kind of so many times it had to be on my list because whenever I'm like I don't know what to watch, it kind of just pops in. And I go Monument Men because I love Ocean's 11 and it's basically Ocean's 1945. Right. George Clooney goes to get Matt Damon. Yeah. He then goes to and then they go and
John
get Bill Murray.
There's a few good.
He directed this as well, didn't he, George Clooney?
I believe.
Hang on, I got it. Yeah.
Director, George Clooney.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So you have them of doing the treasure hunt of them trying to hunt down where the Nazi are stashing all of the gold, or not all the gold, but all of the valuables,
the paintings and the statues, everything basically.
I like
they work with the resistance in these countries to try and track down because they know that there's so much stuff being stolen and he takes it back via train. So he'll have filled all these train wagons full of paintings and gold and statues and everything. So they're trying to track the whereabouts of these trains from all over Europe, and they're all going to somewhere else in Europe that German occupied, and they're trying to figure out, well, where is he stashing all this stuff? And this woman who is, she's kind of like with the Germans, but kind of not, isn't she? And so she gets access to some of the rail records.
She's the manager of the museum where everything comes through, and she's managed to catalogue and put little snickers on the back, and she's got a record of where each one of this piece goes.
Yeah. She knows its ultimate destination, and then from there it then gets taken somewhere else. But if they're able to track it to that point, they should be able to find it from there, sort of thing. So she helps them track quite a lot of it. But I just loved it because of the story, because it wasn't your typical war film.
No,
it's an actual thing that actually happened, and it was overlooked, because, like we said about a war film, most people, you think about a war film and you're thinking of two soldiers trying to shoot each other. But there are other things that happen in a war, like we just said, with the husbands and wives, and the wives and the mums and dads, and their brothers and fathers and whatever, all off at war fighting, and everyone kind of forgets about the people at home.
Yeah, the film's not.
You don't want to get that. You see the postman come and you're like praying that he's not going to walk up to your door with that letter. Yeah. And it's the same with this. These people, they've thought enough to try and save all these great works and books and everything, because they knew that, well, they didn't know what he was going to do with them at first. They thought maybe he would burn them, because they did burn quite a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, he wanted
but anything of value, books. he knew that the stuff of value. So he had, in a sense, like a German monuments men.
Yeah,
team. Their job wasn't to fight. Their job was to
pillage,
strip the museums of all the good stuff, basically, and catalogue it and box it up and crate it and send it back. That was their job.
Right.
So of course the Americans' job was to find all of this.
Reclaim
heist.
Yeah. So I liked that film because it told a different story, a story that hadn't been told before.
I've never seen it, so I might actually give it a go.
It's one of those ones that it's so easy to watch.
Yeah, gotcha.
And it's below the 2 hours mark, so it doesn't overstay its welcome.
Right.
But at the same time, you kind of think, "Oh, this is glossy," but it doesn't shy away from the effect. You're reminded.
You do see like shootings and stuff
like
in the street and stuff. You do see.
There's a scene.
So it's reminding you that it's taking place during this.
You forget that it's in a war, and then obviously, final end. You kind of some people.
One of them gets caught, doesn't he, and gets shot by the Germans.
And then one's having a fag, and he gets shot, and it's kind of a little. You're kind of so invested with him because you're just. So close.
And when one of them gets caught, he sneaks into the museum to
get the Madonna.
Yeah, there's a statue there. He wants to make sure it is the actual ones, because they are trying to find obviously certain parts, and each of them have got like a list of things to find. And he's told that this statue is in this museum, but the Germans hold it. Yeah. They haven't taken it out of there yet, so he sneaks in to find it, and they end up catching him and killing him. And then the rest of the team are like, shit, and this is when it hits home, like, we're trying to do this job, but we're in a fucking dangerous place trying to do it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those films that once you start watching it, it kind of drags you along for the ride.
Well, I suppose despite the setting, the war is still raging.
Yeah, the war is still going on.
Yeah, because George Clooney...
They're around, because they're close to... They're virtually on the front line, because there's, maybe a mile away, the Germans and the Americans or whatever are fighting a battle.
Yeah.
So it's quite... it does... It's not one of these, there's nothing going on and it's in another country and stuff like that. The war is going on around them. So I liked it.
George Clooney's trying to say to his supervisors and the generals, like, don't be bombing like these palaces, these buildings, these churches. And he's like, well, this is war. And he's like, yeah, but we're trying to save. What are we fighting for if not?
If you're just going to destroy
everything that you got back. Yeah. And there's a scene with the Madonna where he dies and he gets it, and it's Clooney's mission to find the Madonna, basically, and one of his generals goes, do you think it was worth it that a man died for this? And he was like, he gave his life for it. So, 100%. And there's a nice touching scene at the end where, a bit like at the end, where they go forward in time as an old man.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah,
You know-
because it's still in the it's still in the
it's
museum.
back in the museum
back,
and
no, back in the
appreciated
church or where
now,
it got
and it
taken
was,
from,
yeah.
and like because he went to see it as a boy and he was like, I'm definitely getting this. But it's such an easy film to just put on, and because it's a war film, and like the characters like John Goodman, you know, it's
he's
funny.
very
Bill Murray,
Yeah.
you know, like so they all have their comic, but then you're like, oh.
Yeah, there's little bits of humour.
It's a nice blend.
And this is a perfect one where, for me to say, like, history doesn't bother me too much because I'm sure there's so many inaccurate. It wasn't there, or it was there, or they didn't take this, or that statue wasn't there, But you also had the impending Russian invasions because they were coming from the east, and they agreed that this town was, well, their area's there, so they're trying to get it out before the Russians because it's technically the Russians, and then they wanted all the stuff because they're so decimated as a country, they needed to repopulate and sell stuff and get stuff to be back on. But it does mix it really well of being a light-hearted war movie, and it, because I think is it a PG or a 12? It's not
sure actually.
There's a bit of,
I think it's a PG.
I would have said it was a PG. or a 12,
so it's a real easy film to watch, and for how many times for how long it's been out, and for how many times I've sort of watched it, because it's even one of those films. If I'm flicking through it, it's like near the end, I'm like, it's one of those stayers. It's only 20 minutes, or it's it just stays on.
Nice.
Hugh Bonneville's in it and Kate Blanchett. They're both in it as well.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few stars in it.
Yeah, I mean, like Anna, I've never seen this film, so I think
it's worth a good watch.
It sounds like
it's a
exactly
really
my sort
good
of-
watch without being.
It's an easy film to watch.
Without going, oh my god, you need to see Monument Men.
No.
It just becomes a good easy film.
If you're in the mood to watch a war film one evening and you're like thinking, what should I watch? Look it up. It's worth the watch.
Nice.
It's less than 2 hours, isn't it?
Our first clash of the night, not too bad.
Yeah, I didn't think anyone would have that.
Oh no!
I hope we don't.
And he's
clash
like, I'm
anymore
going to clash
now."
about.
No, it's good though.
It's good. Anything else on Monument Men? If not, we'll go to number 4.
We can move on.
Let's do this then, Howard. You're number 4.
Number 4.
Mr.
Well.
No 2 lists.
No. You might be inviting me back now.
No, of course not.
So I picked from number 4 a 1981 German film with in full German, no English, so it's all in subtitles. Das Boot.
Hey!
An honourable mention for me.
Fuck off! I thought that'd be in your top 5.
As I said, I didn't want to put anything obvious.
I'm so convinced that was his number 1.
So this is good because this is one of those
John
films
loves
that-
this
It would have been 2 or 1, but I thought no, because it's too obvious.
Wasn't this your director's cut one, or
Yeah,
Now,
like the 4-hour cut
I
or something.
saw-
I've got that at
It's
home.
about 17 hours long. I first saw this film when I was a little boy, and
Okay.
as we've previously explored, I was that kid. So yeah, it was one of those films where I got hooked right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why they weren't speaking English, and I followed the subtitles. And it was set on a U-boat, and it just followed. It followed what was essentially a mundane patrol that turned into like a hazardous.
Yeah.
I don't know what would you call it. It was like a.
I know it's very hard to explain.
I don't
really.
want to ruin it because
No.
and I'm glad that other people have seen this and are going to get enthusiastic about it because it's one of those films
It's a
encourage.
very long film.
It's a very long
but
film,
it is
but
so
it's
worth the
rewarding.
watch.
Yeah, it's very well acted. It's got an actor in it called Jürgen Prochnow.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know who Jürgen Prochnow is, he was in June, Air Force One,
Yeah.
Da Vinci Code, and Judge Dredd.
Yep, he's been in quite a few. Yeah.
Yeah, so it follows the exploits of U-96 and her crew as they set out on a hazardous patrol in the Battle of the Atlantic and shows the excitement and kind of mundane life that a U-boat would lead in the follow-up to the final events of this film, which I won't let
Fucking scary.
because
film.
it is fucking scary, yeah. Absolutely. And then, again, it kind of it hones in on suspense and the atmosphere of it. And there's one particular scene where an alarm goes off and they all have to sort of get battle ready.
Yeah.
And there's this bloke kind of rushing out of the toilet and he's pulling his trousers up so you can see his bare bum.
Yeah.
As a kid, I thought that was hilarious, but it is very realistic and
It's a side of the war again that's not told very often.
exactly, yeah, and that's why it's made my list because it's not straightforward in its delivery, and it is telling something that no other. I don't think any other war film has really done until The Hunt for Red October.
Okay,
That's a good film as well.
Which is a brilliant film. But so I think without this, you wouldn't be able to have delivered The Hunt for Red October the way that they did. All right, it's a Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy film, but this kind of paved the way for that. No, I love it, and I'll recommend anybody.
Nice. Have you seen the super long cut of it?
No, so I've never seen the super long cut.
I've got it if you want it.
Okay.
In 4K as well.
Oh no, spare 4 days.
It comes in 17 discs.
Yeah, no, I've got the collector's edition. It's got almost every version of it on, and the main ones are on 4K. So,
well, I'm glad someone got it in. If you weren't going to put it in, I was so convinced that was your number one.
No, because like I said, it was one of the first films I thought of in putting the list together, and then there was a few others. Someone else might have them, and then I sat back and looked at the list, and I thought, I can't do that because I'm going to end up clashing with nearly every one of these. So I thought, well, no, I can't do that. So that's why I said to it,
Mr. Monument Men.
Yeah, well, you see, I didn't expect, if Chris wasn't here,
that's true,
then no one else would have had that.
God damn you, Chris.
So it's just, it's like I said earlier when you asked the questions about the war films. I like war films, period. But
super long ones as well.
Well, but it's the subject matter, isn't it?
Sure, yeah.
You know, and with Das Boot, it's like the World War II submarine movie.
It is, yeah, it is.
Can I say Das Boot again?
Das Boot.
Das Boot. Das Boot.
Du hast.
Get on the board.
Which in English is the boat.
Literally is the boat.
Not the boat.
Not the boot.
The boat.
Get your boot on the
German boat.
Yeah. And if you're going to watch it, please watch it with the subtitles.
Yeah.
Don't cheat. Oh, a film like that, you have to be able to understand and invest yourself. It's a long film, but it's well worth it.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, especially the ending, because you get you follow these characters all
and watch it in surround sound. You've got to watch it in surround sound.
Yes, no, I won't.
That should have been your other list, but surround sound.
In fact, that's maybe pencil that down.
As an episode, best movies in surround sound.
Movies that are the best in surround sound.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. Yes, you can have sight.
Yes, because Das Boot is one of. Oh my God!
So if you watch Das Boot, follow it all the way to the end, because it's quite. It will tug on your heartstrings right at the very end, because you follow these characters all the way through, and all of a sudden this thing happens. You think, oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you realise you remember the Germans.
Yeah.
It's a German.
Not so bothered after all.
It's all about the German, but it's well worth it.
But it kind of
we know.
It goes back to what Chris was saying. I think no matter what your perspective, everybody at the time, no matter what conflict, thinks they're doing the right thing for their country, for their side.
Yeah,
of course they do.
So their intentions are pure in that respect. So with
They're
a story with a story like this, as far as they're concerned, the Allied forces
madmen are at the top. The leaders, they're like our guys. You know, they're just in there. They're just the average Joe.
Yeah, they're just pawns.
Well, it's like any war, really. You know, the average soldier is just doing his job.
He is. Yeah.
He's defending his country. Yeah. There are extremes, and then of course you look at like the SS. They were the extremes, but there would have been extremes on every side.
Yeah.
So do you take them out of the picture for a minute, and all you've got is a group of men fighting for their country, regardless of what country they are fighting for. You know, so. Right.
Sorry, Chris.
Did you know?
Did you know who...
I'm glad you signalled that. Thank you, mate.
Who got the contract for the SS uniforms?
Oh, I do.
Their first ever contract.
I know that, yeah.
Is it? If we don't get it, will we kick ourselves if we don't?
Yes.
No, you might just say...
Is it dust jacket?
No.
Is it a famous design?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go with Karl Lagerfeld. No, too young.
No.
Hugo Boss.
Hugo Boss.
Oh, wow. Shit. I was going to say something like Levi or whatever.
But like, yeah, they keep it all hush hush.
Yeah.
Dust Boss.
and
hang on.
And another.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Another one. Do you know who supplied the top Nazi generals with their cars? Mercedes.
It was Mercedes.
And the funny thing was, I watched a program recently, and nothing to do with the war, and they were on about Mercedes cars, and they went to the Mercedes Museum, and when they come out, one of them, I just thought it was so funny. He said, I didn't see anything in there about the 6-wheel German car that Hitler was driving around in. And I just thought it was hilarious.
Damn.
The fact that they never mentioned it, you know?
Yeah,
I wonder why.
I wonder. Yeah.
We have orange Fanta because Coca-Cola weren't allowed to sell.
Yeah.
All the facts.
Any more do you know before I move the button
we're
over?
on.
You got one more?
No, we're done.
That's it. No, go on. We got it.
Anything else on Dust Boots?
No. Just I highly encourage anybody to watch it if they've got the time, because it tells a nice.
It's worth making the time for.
It tells a nice, simple story. So, like I was trying to highlight, these are just guys just getting on with their job, and then at the very end of the story, you really feel for them.
Yeah, you're invested in them by
are,
then,
yeah.
and it's a seal of approval from the M.T.V.B. guys.
Nice. We need to get that. Like a little stamp.
Yeah.
This is Top
You
Gun
need to
all
get that
over
as a
again.
soundbite.
So Top Gun and Dust Boot has made the official certified recommendation list.
Yes.
Verified.
Nice. My number 4 is Enemy at the Gates.
Oh, another honourable mention.
Honourable mention?
Yes.
Yes. Is it in yours?
No, it was a
Honourable mention.
It was nearly in my list.
It got a late sub.
Okay.
Yeah, it was nearly in my list.
I really like this because, again, I like seeing it from, I think, sorry, Chris mentioned it, you seeing it from other perspectives of the world. Yeah. Obviously, this is through the Russian side, and the Russians going against the Germans. Yeah. Again, a massive eye-opener to how underutilized Russia was. Yeah. Like, literally the beginning is they are about to storm a battlefield with the Germans. But they are literally, there are 2 Russians... there's 1 gun per 2 Russians, basically.
Yeah. When the guy in front,
so one held the bullets.
The second one picks up the gun.
Exactly, and then that's how it was. And then when they were all trying to come back and retreat, they were literally going to get shot at for retreating. Backstabbing their company, their country, as people would think they were. Mm-hmm. What a massive holy shit! They actually did that. They got to a point that they were desperate for people, yet they were shooting their own people.
Yeah, but this is. I'm not going to do it as a did you know, because we've done this already. But what I will do is, not a lot of people realise, is you had the top 4 big brass. Was it top 4? Was it 3? Because you had Churchill, Roosevelt,
Stalin.
And you had Stalin, and I'm sure there was another one. But anyway, those 3. Anyway.
Was it Truman?
No, he came after Roosevelt, I think, didn't he?
Yeah,
People applaud the likes of them because they were the leaders of the Allies, shall we say. But what a lot of people, and then everybody vilifies Hitler for what he did and stuff, and quite rightly so for what he did, but a lot of people forget that Stalin killed 25 million of his own fucking people.
I mean, what a nutcase.
And it's like we just said.
Sorry, this has got to be a...
He did. It's in history. You read it in any book. He basically sacrificed 25 million of his own people. And you think, how the fuck is he on our side then?
And it says at the end of the film, there's like a part where there's right at the end, it explains all that. And again, a big realization, because I didn't know about that side of the country then.
They didn't have it
well in that film, because they give one person a gun, the other person an ammo.
Has the bullets,
They go, pick up whoever's dead next. You know,
when he falls, you pick up the gun, and then Joe Blogg's behind you, and when he falls, you pick up the gun.
They're shooting their own people behind.
Yep. The captains and whatever, they stayed back.
You were practically a dead man as soon as you got on that battlefield. You couldn't come home, and you were going to get shot.
Yeah, you couldn't go back to your trench or your wherever your soldiers were. You couldn't go back,
and you had to go out there, otherwise you'd get shot.
Exactly.
So you get shot if you get back, and you get shot if you don't go back.
It's a no-win situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But another reason why I like this movie, obviously, is because it's a story centered around the event of the war, which is obviously about Jude Law's character, who plays Vasily
Sisek,
and he becomes like the number 1 sniper for Russia. Gets big in the country, big in the papers and stuff. So obviously Germany finds out about it, so they send their
top sniper,
their top sniper, Ed Harris, which is so weird. Him playing a Nazi because he's a Jew in real life.
Yes.
They didn't send him though. Apparently,
no. I think he opted.
Oh, he opted, didn't he? Yes.
Yeah, I think no. But in the movie, on the documentary, I don't think they actually sent that guy to do that.
I think it was one. I think it was more one sniper trying to take out the other sniper. He thought,
but I love
if there's a sniper out there, I'll take him out.
The whole movie is literally a hunting game, if you will. It's tense as fuck.
It's a very big cat and mouse game.
Obviously, there's so many other stars. You got Jude Law, Ed Harris, you mentioned. Yeah. Bob Hoskins is in it. Joseph Fiennes. Sorry, beg your pardon. Rachel Weisz is in it. You get to see her arse in it as well. Nice. Who else is in it? Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman's in it. His death is brutal in that film. It's absolutely brutal. But he's brilliant in that. He's the guy with all the gold teeth and stuff and whatnot. But what a cracking film, man. James Horner's score in this is fucking phenomenal as always. I love James Horner as a composer, and there's always I think there's a piece of music to the very end of this film that gets me, it tears me up every time. I always have to skip the ending because I don't want to cry. But as a movie, like I said, it's tense, it's action, it's it nails nails it to what the realization of their side of the country was and whatnot. Told it super well, and not obviously going into too much of the actual war itself. It was more about these two snipers, which one goes first. And the tricks they were trying to play on each other to try and get the other one to give away his position. Very, very And then, like you said at the end, all the facts come up on the thing, and apparently Vasily's gun is still in the museum of Russia or something like that, apparently. But I really love this movie. I saw this... I think it was like when it came out on Blockbusters. I couldn't see it in the cinema. I wasn't there very long. But when I watched it for the first time, I wasn't a big fan of war films then. And I think this sort of like pushed me towards liking them as much. Because my dad was super into war films. You know how it was like with dads back in the day. It was either a James Bond film and a Sunday afternoon or a war film and Sunday afternoon. Like, for fuck's sake, not this shit again.
Or a Western.
Which is exactly what your kids say to you today.
Exactly, absolutely. Not Star Wars again, Dad.
Or a Western.
Jude Law was in it.
Sorry?
Jude Law was in it, and I was like,
Jude Law's Vasily, isn't it?
I was like, I wasn't. He was always rom-coms and stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then I just waited for Blockbuster, and I was like, oh my, because that's what does me. If I think a film's going to be shit, and then it ends up being amazing, it instantly goes further up. Like it stays like locked in.
He's really good in that scene where they're trapped in that building, and the plane's about to come in and get bombed. But if they leave their post, they're going to get shot by the sniper. Yeah. He's like, stay where you are. He's over there. Stay where you are. He's really good in that.
That's the funny thing about Jude Law. I used to think that, and I used to think, another bloody Jude Law.
Yeah, that's right.
But now I think he's such a bloody good actor.
He's very versatile.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And whenever I see he's going to be in a film, I think, that's going to be a
give
good
it the benefit of the doubt on it and watch it, and then exactly. So
problem was the Germans kind of lost it, or Hitler lost it for invading Stalin. There was no tactical advantage for him to actually take Stalingrad.
He invaded the wrong time of the year
because it had the name Starling, and that's the only reason he needed to invade.
Like a trophy.
You need to invade further north, and they could have won the war a lot quicker, and it wouldn't have been as cold. He just wanted to say, "I conquered Stalingrad," and it decimated his whole army basically, and that was his downfall.
That's it.
Yeah,
wait him out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I can't say that's it. My number 4, Enemy at the Gates. John, what is your number 4?
My number 4.
When you just once have it ready.
I have got it ready. But it's on my phone, so I've got to unlock my phone, haven't I?
He's not being rude.
It's a film from 1964.
No way.
Yeah. Oh my God. Zulu.
Oh. Okay. Do you want to hear my Michael Caine impression of that?
Love it.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah.
Zulus. Thousands of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've mentioned it before. But I've always been, always liked. Well, like I say, you know, Michael Caine's one of my favourite actors. So anything he's in, I'll watch it. And
just announced his retirement as well.
I know, he has, literally last week. Yeah, and this was his first film.
It was his first. I never knew that.
Yeah, his first film. He actually went to the audition to play a different character. And when he got there, he was sitting and waiting. And after about 2 hours of still waiting there, he went and knocked on the door and he said, have you kind of like forgotten that I'm out here? And the guy said, oh, no. He said, we've filled that position. And because I watched it, I'm thinking it was a big, like a long room, and he had to walk up to the desk. And as he walked away, the guy looked at him and said, "Hang on a minute." He said, "Do you think you could play?" And of course, Michael Caine being Cockney from the middle of fucking London, he says to him, because there was something apparently the director that he was doing, I think he said there was something about the way Michael Caine walked. So he turned around to him and said, "Could you do a posh accent? And he said, yeah, I went to RADA and whatever, I can do all this. So he started, so he said, well, and that's how he got the part.
Okay.
But it's based on a true story. It's quite accurate, actually. And it's...
Rorke's Drift, isn't it?
Rorke's Drift, yeah, the Battle of Rorke's Drift, where there was 4,000 Zulus. And hence the line,
thousands of
them. Yeah, they ended up getting surrounded by about 4,000 Zulus. But the Zulus apparently they ambush a British patrol, 1,300 men, and they slaughtered every one of them. And they get seen by a preacher and his wife going around spreading the word of God, stripping the bodies and taking all the guns. And so word gets back that this patrol have been decimated, basically. And Michael Caine's character and this other character, they are in charge of, like, they're not even soldiers. They're like, it's like a mini hospital and stores and stuff like that. And they know that they are next, and there's only 200 of them. So they basically get the guy in charge basically starts drinking himself to an early grave because these things, they say, we're done for. We're all going to die. And I'm trying to think of the name of the other guy that was the other. I think he was only a lieutenant. Oh, Stanley Baker, that's it. So Stanley Baker's character decides that he's like, although he's the same rank, he'd better take charge. So he decides, he says to guys, look, we can't run, we can't go away, we're surrounded, we're going to have to fight. And so basically the film is about them. They get all the guns. They turn around to all the guys that are sick in the hospital and basically say, if you can hold a gun, we're going to need you to help us out and stuff like that. So, and then then of course the Zulus attack. And then they retreat, and then they attack, and then they retreat. And one of the guys says, "You know what they're doing?" And he goes, "What?" He says, "They're trying to figure out the weak point, our weak point." He says, "So if we keep it as a circle, and there'll be no weak points in the circle." So this is like literally the film then goes on about how they get together and they put all the men all the way around, and they're trying to work out who's fit and who isn't, and they get attacked, and in the end they're driven back to. There's like a little chapel, and there's only about 100 of them left, and they form 3 or 4 ranks, and then the Zulus come over the battlements into where they are. They start literally slaughtering these Zulus, and in the end they kill so many of them because as one wave fire, the other 2 groups are ready. And when they fire someone, a bit like when in Sharp, if you ever watch Sharp, it's a very similar thing. And
that's Sean Bean one.
Sean Bean one, yeah. Because this is
bastard in every episode.
Oh,
you bastard!
Yeah. And so in the, I mean, it's an old film now. I'm not going to give anything away. If people haven't seen it by now, they should have done. But at the very end of it, when they think all hope is lost, this is it now. The next wave is going to kill us all. There's not many of us left. The Zulus then just retreat and walk away, and they sing this song. And in the credits, it tells you that the song they're singing is a song of respect for their enemy, because their enemy gave so much, but yet stopped them. And everyone thought, oh, it's a war cry. It's a war cry. They're celebrating. Well, no, it comes something that tells you they're not celebrating. They're like, in a sense, they're like crying for their enemies' dead people, sort of thing. So it's quite moving when you get to the end and you actually see that part of it. But it's the action in it is very, very good.
They should remake it with Sean Bean.
Either
bastards, thousands of them.
Yeah, but it is a film I think they could remake now.
Do you think so, though? Because it's a lot of white people killing a lot of colour people. Actually, so I don't think it would work, to be honest, dudes.
Actually, if you think of it like that, cancelled.
Cancelled, thousands of them.
But yeah, no, it was a good story. It's a part of history.
It's a great film.
Yeah,
and thanks.
I never knew it was his first movie.
Thanks to Bottom, I laboured for years under the impression that Michael Caine says the line, "Don't throw bloody spears at me."
Yeah,
but he didn't.
He didn't know.
I was very disappointed. It's still a great film.
Yeah. Would have been funny if he did.
It
but
would have
they
been
didn't. No.
hilarious, yeah.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Anything else on Zulu, sir?
No, that's it.
Nice. Chris, what's your number 4, sir?
Number 4, it's
Zulu.
no, it's a Michael Bay movie.
I was going to say Michael Caine then.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
very hit and miss. I either really like him or
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
and it's 13 Hours of Benghazi.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So-
That's a good film.
Nice.
I don't know this one.
There's one, no?
Yeah.
It's about
It's got Jim for the Office in it.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I'm watching him in
It's
Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
also got the what I like to. There's certain films and series that I will watch and I go, it's got that guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Class him as that guy or that girl,
Yeah.
and you've instantly got me on a TV series if it's got. So there's a few people like from SEAL or The Unit who are playing. There's a guy who just plays every commando regularly,
Yeah.
sort of. And it's about an they're basically like a military militia sort of. What's the word? Mercenaries.
Mercenaries, yes.
But
Yeah.
they're employed by the CIA, and basically
Yeah.
you've got to go into Libya, and go to a CIA, which is the house of the ambassador there, the American. And this is set just as the downfall of Gaddafi happens, and all the unrest are unruling. But they're in this compound, and pretty much after about 10 minutes, it just kicks off and does not stop.
Doesn't stop. It's another one that doesn't stop for ages.
And it's really well shot, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. And Bay does those sort of bits for me well. And is it Jason Sudeikis? Is it him or no? Is it the guy from Jack Ryan?
Yeah, John
Krasinski.
Krasinski.
Yeah. He
I'm
played-
literally watching that right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So like,
What,
yeah,
Jack Ryan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
so good. So yeah, basically they're in this compound, but it's not like an actual ambassador's compound. So it's only a residential house. He didn't want to stay in that one. This one's nicer. So the problem they've got is that there's hundreds of people turning up, and they don't know who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's the people in there, and then there's people just protesting about Gaddafi, and it's a case of, and then you have some people in the inside with the staff, and it's just non-stop, relentless.
Typical Michael Bay. It just doesn't stop
is
at
it
all.
Ammo, you just like they don't have much left.
And they literally have to defend it for like 13 hours. Hence the title of the movie, isn't it?
Non-stop, and it just does it.
God, could you imagine if that was a runtime?
So it just
That's brute this bitch.
Nearly as long as
I remember I remember looking at it, going, "Oh, it looks good," but I put it on.
Is it an example of Bayhem?
It's
The first bit isn't. It's
I
not
haven't
until
seen
the
it for a
action
long
kicks
time,
in when you're
so-
like, right, this is Michael
But then
Bay.
it doesn't go full Tropic Thunder like
No.
or Transformers, but it does it.
He does it
just enough. It might be as perfectly weighted film,
Absolutely, yeah.
apart from The Rock. But
Oh, The Rock's amazing.
The
The Rock's my
Yeah,
fan.
yeah.
No, he's in the film. He's filmed The Rock.
the film The Rock.
yeah.
So it's kind of like there's certain times when he gets it right for me, he gets it right perfectly. But then Transformers for me is just a whole.
And this is the issue because he filmed that between two Transformers films.
Two
so
Transformers.
They didn't care about
And I didn't
13
see
hours.
it
They
because
wanted
it
the
was
next
a
Transformers
Michael Bay.
movie.
It was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
his audition is just like, watch me blow up shit.
Yeah. But he's sort of like, you can tell he sort of cared about this story
I was
and
gonna say
wanted to do it.
that was something he really wanted to do. That was his little project, I think.
So I guess this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with TV studios back in the 60s. Please make me these series of TV programs that you can make your sort of passion project.
You do this, and I'll give you the money to make that.
Yeah.
Because this is not a war. They are in wartime over in civil unrest, but I classed it as a combat situation between
they're defending
the American ambassador. So they are defending and
it's during wartime, so
it
War with
literally
Libya,
just
big.
it just goes.
Yeah.
Just goes, and I love it.
It's a surprise hit for Bay, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what puts a lot of people off of it. When they can actually give it a go, it's actually a cracking film, to be honest.
If you didn't-
again, it's a film like you say. If you're stuck one evening for a movie, stick it on. It's worth the watch. It's a good film.
It's an easy watch as well. You're not trying to go, oh, who's that guy? There's
Yeah,
only
you're not
like,
You don't read too much into
there's
it.
only 6 or 7.
You're not trying to work out
Marines,
who
and they've got
everybody
their
is,
stuff
sort of
off it, so you can see their faces most of the time, and there's enough dialogue because there's downtime when they get the waves back, and it's like
But then it hits you again.
hits it again, and it's like go, and then like the people inside, who's dodgy, who's with them, and it's just I love it.
Nice, mate. Good shout. Anything else in it at all?
No, watch it.
Watch it.
Yeah, just
I do believe it's on Amazon at the moment.
It's
so
not. I was fuming.
is it not?
I've been trying to watch it on YouTube. I even tried.
it pops up every now and then, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
It was there the other week. This is what I was saying to you why I don't like.
Streaming
I realise I
services.
like streaming until I go, I want to watch that film.
And they take
Why
it off.
I take it off? If it's already been there, it should always be there.
Added to watch list, it might pop up again. Number 3, guys.
Number 3.
Back to you, sir. Mr. H, number 3, please.
So much like John, I bloody love Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Zulu Dawn.
Which he wasn't in. No, he wasn't. No, this is The Eagle Has Landed.
Oh, it's in your list, isn't it?
John.
Do you want to wait? We'll wait for you. We'll wait.
Do you want to?
Oh, this is your 3 as well. Oh, this is Howard's 3, so yeah, pop it in.
We could talk
I
about
think it is. Hang on, just double check. Yeah, it's my number 3 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, both of you go into
Do you
them.
mind if we to and fro on
Please,
that one?
go for it, yeah, if you want to.
1976, Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland, Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall, wasn't it? Yeah.
Really good character in that.
Yeah.
Donald Pleasance, who is
Donald Ple- I like
I forgot he was in that. Yes.
Yeah, he's a character called Devlin, like an Irish spy.
Yeah. Amazing character.
Brilliant.
I love that film.
And Larry Hagman, who plays this incompetent,
Incompetent
GI,
American captain.
who
Yeah.
basically gets himself shot, and it's really
Yeah.
hilarious. So this has got a score by Lalo Schifrin.
Yeah.
Now Lalo Schifrin,
done quite
I'm
a
just
lot.
looking through my notes. For those who don't know him, he was the guy responsible for Mission Impossible, films like Enter the Dragon, Amityville Horror, all of the Dirty Harry films, and he actually created the Paramount fanfare that you hear from 1976 to 2004. So he was responsible for that. So,
Okay.
But yeah, so that's one of the things that I do love about this film. So it's a fictional German plot to kidnap Winston Churchill in the middle of the Second World War, and Caine plays Colonel Kurt Steiner, who journeys to Norfolk to kind of instigate this plot.
It's loosely based on a true story, but
It is, yes. It's direct from a novel. and there are
Jack
elements-
Higgins novel.
Yeah, elements of truth to it. So I think probably all of these films do have.
Yeah.
They must come from
I think
something.
I looked into this. I read the book, and I've got the films at home, but I looked into it. Apparently, they think it's more rumour than anything because there's a churchyard in Norfolk, and there's 6 German paratroopers buried in it.
Right.
And I think this is where the story came from.
Kind of like
hang on
an
a minute.
urban myth.
But I think it's more a case of, like we were saying with the Zulus having the respect for the soldiers and stuff.
Sure.
It's more a case of the English people having respect for these fallen airmen, even though they're from another country. I think that's more likely what it was. And during the war, you can't ship the body home to Germany.
No.
So
Well, no, it's
they
just-
buried him in the churchyard, and that's, to me, I would believe that more than.
And I think.
But I like the idea of that could be true. I do. That's what I love about that
it's
film.
such a juicy sort of subject.
It's such a good book, and it's a very, very good film.
And what if they'd actually succeeded? But because of course you get to the end of the film and you realise that he does succeed, but he doesn't succeed.
Yes.
And it's all kind of bittersweet.
Yeah.
So because
that to me, it was in that we were saying earlier about what I thought this was the war movies with twists, and it's one of my movies with a twist because because the twist happens right at the very end.
Yes,
And you think, oh my god, he's done it, and then you realise he hasn't done it.
another character, so very sympathetic character, and it's probably the way that Michael Caine plays it because I like yourself, I think he's a great actor, and he basically can sell.
He can't do anything wrong.
Sell
as far
Snowed
as I'm concerned.
Westernized, and the scene at the train where
with the Russians,
with we know where these people are going. They're going off to get slaughtered, but
he stands up to that SS colonel or whatever it is, doesn't he?
He does, and you're all of a sudden you're rooting for him. You think, oh, hang on a minute, this guy has got heart.
Yeah.
Maybe he is just following orders. During wartime, everybody is just playing their part.
Yeah.
They're doing exactly what they need to do to get by. But brilliant story. And if it is based on this kind of urban myth,
I like to think it is.
Yeah, I think that kind of lends itself even more.
It's a film I've seen so many times.
Yeah,
I can never ever get tired of watching it.
This came off the back of my number 2 because I watched number 2, and then in the early 2000s, it was Al Price or Virgin went on this absolute DVD blitz, and I was snapping these films up for like £1, £2, and this was one of them. But it was such a good buy, and like you say, it just filmed.
Yeah, I had it on VHS. I then bought it on DVD. I then bought it on Blu-ray, and I've got it now. I've got it on 4K.
Do you still own all those?
I don't know. I
They're
don't
all in
know.
one order.
Yeah, I think I've got the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the 4K. I don't think I've got the VHS. anymore.
See, that's the thing with my Star Wars stuff. I wish I still had my VHS,
Yeah,
but I don't.
I used to have.
Sounds like me with Star Wars.
I used to have the VHS of
Yeah,
Star Wars.
I need the laser discs as well.
Oh man, yeah. But yeah, it's a cracking film, great story.
Yeah.
Whether you want to believe it or not is, you don't need to.
Is it true?
I mean,
In your opinion, is it true?
It sounds like something that could happen.
I think it's something that could have happened.
It's not overly like.
Oh no.
Oh, well, they definitely couldn't do that. or
It's not an
whatever.
elaborate plot, and I think it was probably something that was on many heads of states tables at the time to say, this is the kind of logical conclusion to end the war.
Yeah.
So this is,
But it was like for me, the two best characters in the film is obviously Michael Caine's Kurt Steiner and Devlin.
Definitely.
But
I do like Robert Duvall's character. I thought, he played it straight, but there was still that he had like a cheeky undercurrent.
Yeah, was it Canaris? Was he Admiral Canaris or something like that? Yeah.
And Donald Pleasance, who I love as an actor anyway. He played. I think it was Himmler, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He played a really creepy sort of.
Geez,
That guy's just great in everything.
Oh, he
man.
is,
Absolutely everything.
Slicked back hair and these little monocle, not monocle, but these little, the glasses without the rim, rimless glasses. He was the image of Himmler. Fuck,
Yeah, 2 or 2.
But and you do. It's one of them films you do get invested in the group, because obviously when they have that tete-a-tete with the SS major or whatever at the rail yard, and then they all get arrested and they get put in a penal colony, which is where they are found in, was it Alderney or somewhere? One of the Channel Islands, anyway. And they're basically trying to find a group of people who could go into Britain under wartime and kill Churchill, and they were the only ones they could come up with because they've done it all before.
Yeah.
He's this very highly decorated soldier, which is one of the first things the SS bloke looks at when he tells him off. He sees the Knight's Cross on his, and it's like, you don't argue with people like that.
No.
But because he was SS, he tried to overrule him. Does he punch him or something? I can't remember if he punches him or he grabs the girl, doesn't he? And he runs away. And
Come on, John, you've seen this 100 times. You've got different copies of it. You should know.
Yeah, he puts the girl on the train, and then the guy just shoots her and kills her anyway. And it's like they have this big argument. But Devlin's character is amazing. I just thought the lengths he goes through to try and pull the wool on. Pull a rug out from under people's feet. He's making out that he's like this gamekeeper when he's actually an Irish guy working against the British.
Every tool in his arsenal he pulls out in order to achieve his aims. Just great.
Yeah. What's the name of that girl that's in it?
You got Jenny Agutter.
Jenny Agutter. She falls in love with him.
Yes, she does. Yeah, because
she falls in love with him. He beats up the boyfriend, doesn't he, in the pub or whatever? So
deservedly so.
Yeah, of course, he was a bit of a knob. But it's a good film. It's got humour in it. It's got. I love the part where they basically said, we'll go in and we'll do it, but we will wear our uniforms if we get into combat. Yeah. Because we will not be shot as spies, we will be shot as soldiers. And so when they go in to take over the village, they're dressed as Polish soldiers. So they pretend to be this Polish detachment. We're here we're doing training exercises and stuff. We've got this big army thing coming up in a few weeks. So that's how they sell it to the local priest. Yeah. And so he's quite happy, and he tells everybody, if you see these soldiers running around, they're Polish guys. They're going to be going off to fight Hitler soon, and all. So no one takes any notice of them until one of the kids falls into the water by the well, a windmill or something, and rather than let the kid die, one of the soldiers jumps in after and saves her, and then he gets stuck on the wheel, so he dies.
So he goes under, doesn't
So
he?
he goes under the wheel. The kid gets saved, and of course he dies. But as he's coming up under the wheel, his jacket falls open a little bit, and you can see the German uniform under it. And that's when they start realizing, oh, hang on a minute, they aren't who they thought. And so the story then kicks off from there. Then, and it's just one of them films you just really got to watch it. It's really, really good.
You're going to watch it now, aren't you?
Yeah, I might well watch it again tonight. Yeah,
Nice
it was a
name,
good
Mick
pick.
Well done, guys. Anything else on that?
No, that's it.
Okay.
No, I think story time told it all.
I was going to push that button. Well, I was going to push that button on Zulu, mate. But hey, we've got 2 more entries out of you, mate.
I'm pretty sure my next 2 aren't on anyway.
Well, I don't know how to follow that, but my number 3 is it's technically a war film, but it's set during recent situations at the moment. So my number 3 is Hurt Locker.
Honourable mention.
Have you got it?
For me.
No.
You know I like that film.
No, it's in yours.
It's not in mine, but it's an honourable mention. I was going to put it in. I thought, I'm pretty sure someone else will have it.
Yeah, I definitely had to have this in here.
Yeah, such a good
You're
film.
kind of like
No, this is one of the ones that I
Not seen it?
I watched it, but
Oh, right.
everybody was just. It didn't hit me as well as.
Everybody was all
no,
over it.
no, no, no.
Yeah,
And I think that's the point of this film.
Yes.
So, and I'll explain why it's in mine. So, anyone who doesn't know what Hurt Locker stars Jeremy Renner, who gives the performance of his career, and he was even nominated for Academy Award. Unfortunately, didn't win it, but anyway.
Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow, one of my favourite female directors of all time. Strange Days, Point Break.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's fantastic. She deserved the Oscar
knocked
for
it
that.
out of the park, that film.
I know. She even beat her own husband that year. That was so fucking cool. Anyway, or ex-husband, shall I say. So Jeremy Renner, he's basically part of the US troops, but he is a bomb disposal man, isn't he? There's a scene at the beginning of the movie where it's Guy Pearce at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's like this big wig, he's like, I'll just do this and do that. And then obviously he fucks up and the bomb explodes and Guy Pearce dies.
Yep.
But the effect of it has, it shows you the slow-mo, the force, the shockwave of what a bomb can do and stuff. Yeah. And then we get introduced to Jeremy Renner, who's kind of like the replacement for him. And he goes into this as, when he defuses a bomb, it's nothing. Like, this is his 9 to 5, whatever job.
He's
there's a bomb,
calculated.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
But as an audience, you're gripped, you're kind of like nail biting in a way.
Yeah.
Like there's one, again, another high lieutenant that comes up to him and says, how many bombs did you defuse? 187, sir. 187. It's like, I probably wouldn't get past one myself, personally. But to him, there is no fear in this man.
No.
But as an audience, again, there's a specific scene in this movie where Jeremy Renner finds like a bit of wire hanging out. And from a bird's eye view, he pulls it up and there's literally bombs completely around him. Now, to this man, that's not fear.
No.
To us, it's like, holy shit.
I did wonder why the camera was going up to pan down. I thought, hang on a minute. And then, like you say, he pulls it and you see all these strings start.
And the way they're just surrounding him in like a circle. Like, again, Tim, this is nothing.
Yeah.
But we, as an audience, I work in security as well as Howard does, and John did as well. So to us, it's not like a big thing how these bombs are made or how they make them and stuff. But how for other audiences that aren't aware of stuff, like these can fit into cars, pavements. There's even a moment where they put a bomb into a dead child.
Yes.
Is a big realization. It's like there are people out there that do this. Also, another side of it, the reason why I kind of like this is how, especially for Jeremy Renner's character. So for him, this is like his fix. This is his. How do I put this? So later on in the movie, he goes home, goes back to his wife and kid, but then for some reason there's something in him that wants to go back and keep doing this. Yeah. It's like his fix, isn't it? It's like his buzz.
He's an addict.
Yes, it's an addiction, isn't it?
And I was talking about this a little while ago with my partner, and it's a good example of those that live that life, and then it's time for them to stop living that life, but they can't. They cannot readjust to going home, even if they want to go home and see their wife and see their kids and live that life. They can't. They can't adjust, and they end up going back.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's parts where there are times where he's. He really kicks himself because he fails. He doesn't defuse everything. Like there's a scene towards the end, I believe, where there's a bomb strapped to a man, isn't there? And even though he's trying to get this padlock off him and stuff, he's staying there to literally the last 5 seconds. He wants to help this man.
He believes in it. Yeah.
And just believes, exactly. And how Jeremy Renner portrays that scene itself, where he's just trying to break the padlock or something. He's like, giving it his all because he wants this. He needs this. Again, it's his fix. Because if he doesn't, you know.
And I think with Renner, because we now know him as like characters like Hawkeye and things like that, and you could always sort of brush him aside as he's just playing a superhero. But yeah, with this, he absolutely
there's depth to his character.
Oh
in this one.
God, yeah, and you totally believe in what he's going through this man's mind every single time he steps out to fuse one of those bombs.
Absolutely, and there's always again there's moments in this movie where you can't tell, like for example, he's walking down a street. I don't know, Taliban or whatever. I don't care. Who's got like a trolley full of rubble and stuff, and he kind of like. You know, I don't know if that person's got a bomb in there, and you know, this is again the realization of his life and his job and what he does and whatnot. Yeah. There's also other tense scenes that don't involve bombs. Like there's a part where he's kind of hunting someone in the dark of night in a town somewhere down these dark alleys, and the intensity of it is just unreal. The way Catherine Bigelow delivers and does these shots and stuff, and just again to him it's nothing, but us as an audience it's gripping. It's keeping us there to watch and stuff. There's other moments where a couple of the Marines are a bit dumbasses and, you know, they argue with Jeremy Renner's character. But that's, again, I don't... Yeah, they've got to have it in there for some sort of humanisation.
For the context of the story.
Exactly, yeah. So, again, back to what Hal was saying about, you know, dramatization, put it in there for the sake of it. But I can't deny this is a great film for me. Again, there's another scene with... he's got this massive sniper rifle and he's trying to shoot someone from afar, but he can't tell if they're still there or not. So they spend the whole night there and stuff. It's like, fucking hell, do these men really do this and stuff? It's like, it was such an eye opener for me, you know, because again, I'm not into war, not into history, not into stuff like that. So these movies are just a big wow factor for me that these men go through this. These men do become addicted to this and stuff.
Yeah. It is their drug.
Yeah.
It is their drug.
So that's why I kind of had to put that in there. And because it's set sort of nowadays and stuff as well, again, like people still do it today, is why I had to think of it as going on as my number 3. Yeah. But Chris, you said your...
Yeah, because everybody... I hear it, like, you won the Oscars and everything, and I was like, I think, even hearing you now, like, I was like, have I got this wrong? I was like, that sounds really... I think if I'm honest, we watched it with a group, having a bit of a smoke with people who didn't want to watch it, and you're sitting there about the tension, and I was like, I don't think I got any tension.
You were definitely smoking.
No tension
yeah, but you know, and I'm normally engrossed in my films, so I do like to watch them properly. It's kind of like...
Watch it again on your own.
So, and I know war films lose me when they go back home. Like,
yes, which is what he does. Yes, you're right. Yes,
it kind of brings me down.
That's when they realise that normal life is boring.
Normal life is boring.
Yeah. See, to us, normal life is just normal life. You don't know any different. But to them,
but when you're on that high,
you get elevated that high.
Yeah,
and
so
you're there all the time. You're not there for 5 minutes. You're there every day of every.
The adrenaline rush for these guys must be just it's fucking peak. Seriously,
doing my research, it's like there's nothing but good things about it, and I've only ever watched it the once, and because I didn't enjoy it, I've never.
Can be honest, you can say you don't like it, mate. It's fine.
No, that's it. I didn't like it, but just hearing you talk about it, kind of like
worth another watch.
The tension, I never got that. So I think if I had the tension, I think I would enjoy the film more. So
I think you're right, though. It was one of those. Sometimes films come out and everybody. Before you see it, and even if you have an interest in seeing it, people are like, oh, you must watch The Hurt Locker. I love The Hurt Locker. And all of a sudden, you suddenly think, oh, do you know what? I don't want to jump on that bandwagon. So I think sometimes there's a little bit of that. But
I'm wondering if it came out around the same time as maybe one or two other films, and they might have overshadowed it because it's not high. It's not high on people's lists.
He just smoked a bowl before he started it.
I watched it with Phil and all of that. Like,
that definitely said you smoked it, mate.
Yeah, but they're not war. Yeah, they're not war fans, and Phil would just bring it, and you've instantly got me. And then like, there's so much talking, and there's
you couldn't.
And we were all going, oh, well, that was shit. And it was shit, but that. But here,
the tension,
no, absolutely, mate. And I'm glad
the Oscar, and I was like, I must have missed something here. Like I've missed something.
No, but it's nice to get a different opinion out of it, because sometimes we will just go, oh yeah, that's a good film, but it's nice to have to hear the different side of it. So
but it is worth another watch.
On that note, no. What's your number 3?
Oh, my number 3. Dun, dun, dun. It has been mentioned in a passing.
Oh, okay.
And it is about the Battle of Okinawa, and it's directed by Mel Gibson.
All right.
Oh.
And Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
About Desmond Doss.
Desmond Doss. That's it, yeah.
Because I'd never heard
AKA
it.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Simon Garfield, he's one of these new people that go, oh, I think, was his first one Social Network? Or was
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield.
I saw that and I liked him as a character, and then I really liked him as Spider-Man. So I was gutted when he sort of went. So when he came onto this, I was like, oh, war film, Garfield, done.
Yeah.
Sold.
Mel Gibson.
Sold. And then I'd never heard of a conscientious objector.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it was a thing where you could object to...
Yes. Again, I didn't know this either.
Yeah.
So
No. And he goes into the war in like 19... or however...
explain what it is first.
What the conscientious... It's where you say that I want to fight and serve,
But you don't want to kill anyone.
I'm not going to hold a weapon.
No.
I have the right to not carry a weapon and kill anyone.
Yeah.
So he says that he's going to be a medic.
Yes.
So for the first 40 minutes of the film, it's kind of getting him into it, doing his training. He's got his whole platoon just calling him a coward, beating him down. His sergeant doesn't want him. His CO doesn't want him. They're all trying to get him off for being a mad. And he's like, I'm not mad. I just want to not carry a gun.
I want to help people.
I just don't want to carry a gun in war.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's madness. But he gets this point where they manage to do a loophole and get it to a point where they say, right, if you want to go marching into the hell of fury, feel free with only your hands.
Which they did, didn't they?
Which
Yeah.
he did. And what it does really well is that he's got none of his backing of his platoon, because he's like, they just see him as a wimp and a coward. And as soon as they step up, they get up this ridge, and you see it. War movies do this thing where like the new people come in, and the old people, it looks like what they must see at festivals when people are coming home. They just look fucked. They're coming out, and you're like...
They've aged, haven't they?
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be bad. And they climb this thing which they call Hacksaw Ridge, which is this like 100-foot cliff, cargo netting, and they're up there, and all the VC are just buried, or the Koreans, are just buried in the trenches, but they don't know that. They just think they're up there. So they get the whole platoon up there. And they basically just get annihilated.
They get shot to shit.
Stuff gets blown off, everything, limbs, legs, everything. And
Isn't Sam Worthington in this as well?
Sam Worthington's in it, and the guy doesn't sleep. The guy,
Can't remember. It's been a
the
while
guy who
since.
played Psycho in the remake. I can't think of anything else that he'd been in.
No, Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
And he's the CO, isn't he?
Yes, that's right.
So
yes.
you've got Sam Worthington, Andrew Garfield, and they all retreat, apart from Desmond Dawson, who's just left up there, and he basically goes on a Madden, and he ends up saving like 75 people.
So he goes collecting people, doesn't he? Yeah.
Just lowering them down on their own, and then they just keep turning up at base, and they're like, who's done this? And they're like, Desmond. And it's like, Desmond the coward. And they're like, oh. And there's a real perfect scene that kind of gets you at the end, where Sam Worthington's character comes over, and he says, I've never been so wrong. And you kind of invested. He's like, he's your boy at that point.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you feel so proud for him. And he's like, I've never been so happy to be so wrong. Like, everybody's wrong. And then they don't really want to go back up to battle without him next time. He becomes this like saint symbol, like from like the holy. And then the next battle again, it just kicks off again. They manage to do, but it's just the tenseness of when he's up there on his own, and how he's crawling about, and how he's nearly shot, and and then there's a great interview with him, the real guy at the end, and it's just like, just give me one more, wasn't it? One more. And yeah, he was rescuing them as well. He wasn't just rescuing his guys; he was lowering down the enemy, getting them safe, giving them medicine, and like there's terror's bits where he's in the bunkers, and it's so tense. But it's different because I never see a film.
It's a different kind of war film
where he's not. He is a 100% medic, because even the guy, he sort of does it, but he ends up shooting off at the end. So it's kind of like So it has it a bit like that. So this one goes full. He's not carrying, and he never sort of goes above his ways, and he ends up being the bravest person out of all of them. and the story just kind of sells itself. And I just remember seeing it, and I was like, oh, that was brilliant. Loved every minute of it.
It's good because, again, you've got the brutality side of it when, like you said, everyone gets shot to shit. But then you've got the other side of it where you're still expecting him to pick up a gun and he still doesn't. He does what he was set out to do in the first place.
Yeah,
and just save people.
I think the crew and all that side, I think as much as it was cold in like the Allies had, I think they had it worse. You had the trenches, the leeches, and they were nasty. They did not care, did they? The Germans wanted to survive. They didn't. They just suicide kamikazes.
Again, it's a side of war that isn't portrayed very often, but it's
because it's not very glamorous.
Exactly.
No,
exactly. But it's still a story that
they didn't get a black and white movie, did they?
Yeah. But this one, it takes a good 40 minutes to sort of. But then it kicks in hard and fast, and then it doesn't stop. And then,
mate, when he got on that battlefield, I was waiting for him to do somersaults and start webbing people and stuff.
But yeah,
good pick, sir. Good pick. Anything else on Hacksaw Ridge? If not, we'll go to number two.
Number two.
Number twos.
Number two.
Back to you, Howard. Let's see if we clash with John again.
Oh, well, we shall see. We shall see. So I've already mentioned one of the guys who stars in this film, and John has agreed that this man is a fantastic actor. It is Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, yeah. I do like Kelly's Heroes.
Oh, Kelly's here. John Kelly.
Yeah, exactly.
Says you're number one.
No. No, I couldn't.
Oh, mate, if you did.
I know, yeah.
What an egotist.
What an egotist.
What a piece of shit.
No, good film, very funny.
So, from 1970, and it stars the amazing Clint Eastwood, who I love from all of the Westerns anyway. Telly Savalas, who's one of his superiors, and of course Donna Sutherland, who plays Oddball, who's this hippie character.
Negative waves, man.
Negative waves.
What a film.
Another score by Lalo Schifrin.
Was it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it's very understated, but it's throughout that whole film, and it's great. A motley crew of American GIs who go AWOL to rob a French bank, storing Nazi gold. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It does exactly what it says on the
exactly. It doesn't. There's nothing else to it other than that, and it's how they do it.
Yeah,
it's just funny. It's a good film.
Would you probably say it was more of a comedy?
I was about to say that.
There's comedic elements, but it's still quite serious.
I would have said it's probably 55-45. 55% comedy, 45% quite.
It's not played for laughs, but it guides the film along. And I think when at the moments when it does get really serious, it kind of it lightens the tension on that. Not taking away the aspects of this kind of situation from what happens.
Because there are some quite serious parts happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I just like the fact that they've decided to fuck this. Yeah. But also they're taking a stab at Hitler and saying, "Well, we're going to take some of your gold."
Yeah,
and they used a tank, don't they?
Because
it's a tank crew, isn't it? So they got like a Sherman tank or whatever.
The tank's got a name, isn't it? I can't remember what the name of the tank is.
I can't remember.
But it's Oddball's tank.
Look up, John.
I haven't got an awful lot to say about this one because
that's fine.
It's a fun film that delivers exactly what it says it's going to deliver.
Is that why it's so high? Because it's got the fun aspect to it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And
I love serious war films, and especially ones that sort of tell a tale, as we sort of said. Yeah, so it can give you the balls to the wall, kind of blood and thunder aspect, but ones that will also tell a heartfelt side to war. But this one chucks in the comedy, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more. It ticks every box for me.
Nice.
Kelly's Heroes.
What have you found out here, John?
No, but I have found out. I've been to where they filmed it.
Oh, right.
Not even realising. Just looking through it now. Yeah. Or not where they filmed it. Where it's
set.
Meant to be set. Yeah.
Have you been there? You said.
Yeah. No, there's no story.
It's story time with JK47.
There's no story from John.
No story. I'm looking up the name.
All right, we'll carry on, and you can tell us on the way there.
Yeah.
My number two is a Danish war movie.
All right.
We're going to stick with the. We're going to stick with the. We're going to stick with the diffusing of bombs, but instead with diffusion of mines. Land of Mine is my number two. Oh, my number two.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, don't know this one? Very, very good film.
Excellent.
This is... I I've written it down because it's been a while since I watched this movie. So if no one's heard of it, it's a Danish film. Like I said, it's set in post-World War II Denmark. And the Danish government puts their hatred for the German prisoners, and they basically put them to work to defuse all the mines that they put on their beaches in Denmark. 1.5 million landmines were set on the western beaches of the country of Denmark. So the issue is all their prisoners are young German soldiers, very, very young, like in their 17s, 18s. They're essentially all kids that were set to war.
I can see where this is going.
So basically there's one man who is like a general in Denmark, and he's the one that's looking after these boys to go out every day and defuse all these mines. And obviously day by day one gets killed, blown up, obviously, but how it does, again, very tension, very nail-biting, whatnot.
It's very much like the Hurt Locker in some respects.
But way better.
Yeah,
way better.
Yeah.
Again, this man fucking hates these people. These are people that try to invade his country and whatnot, but for somehow, when he sees that them struggling to try to survive each and every day to defuse these mines, he builds this sort of compassion for them, and
Rasmussen,
and to I feel for these boys. I know that they're terrified every day that they have to go and do this, but I can't do anything about it. No, this is my job.
He hates them, doesn't he?
He hates them, but for some reason he can't help but feel for them at the same time. It's a fantastic film, and it's one that was, again, such an eye-opener for me because, again, it's from a different country, so it's from their aspect of it as well. So it was nice to see the Danish side of it, of course. And again, like, every time, so again, they are just mines, but a child dies different ways of how he diffuses them, and one accidentally steps on them, or one, picks it up and then puts it aside without diffusing it properly, so it gets blown up and whatnot. You don't watch it just for that, but you can't help it. I was talking about bomb diffusals in Hurt Locker. This is times 10 of tension. Proper nail biting and stuff. And if you don't mind watching it in subtitles, I highly recommend that this movie is a must-watch for war films. It's not about all guts and gore and battlefields and whatnot. This is after World War II now. That's been and gone. This is the repercussion of it and whatnot. And how that many mines. Who goes out there and puts all those mines out? That's insane. Over 1.5 million mines
that's just,
on these beaches.
Hatred.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it just, wow, it's just, again, stuff I never even knew about ever existed. And then, having to actually see it, and it's quite an emotional ride, but again, nail-biting at the same time. I highly recommend if you ever get a chance. It pops up on Prime every now and then. I'm not sure if it's there at the moment, but I have to put this on there. It was debating whether to do it or not because, again, it's technically after the war, but it's sort of still set around that time and era still.
Aspect of war, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's still the horrors, they're diffusing what's left of it. Even it's the cleanup.
Yeah. And who knows, some of them might still be there.
Probably, yeah.
You know, to this day. I don't want to go into it too much because I'd rather you guys experience it for yourselves if you ever get a chance.
I'd never heard of it, or
I don't think I heard of it until John mentioned it once.
What's it called?
Land of Mine.
I've never heard of it, never even come across it.
Yeah, again, we were just scoping through Amazon one day and he mentioned it. Again, it's a war film. I'm not into war films as much, but I thought I've got nothing else to watch. I like world cinema as well, so I was happy to sit through it. Yeah. And it definitely frigging paid off, mate. But again...
They're the best ones, like
yes,
you said.
Absolutely, because I didn't know what to expect. No. Going blind, I know kind of already spoiled a little bit, but please watch it. I highly recommend it. John, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is Master and Commander, Far Side of the World.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
That's a heavy film, yeah.
That's quite far back.
Napoleonic, yeah.
Are we allowing this? Because we weren't allowed a certain film with Mel Gibson in?
Yeah, I think, no, fuck it, why not?
Why not?
I was just having a Mel Gibson fan club.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I've kind of focused all of mine around World War II. So I think, it's nice to have
all right, we'll let you have it then, John.
I had to change around.
Why someone got to break the rules, eh? Why does someone have to do it?
We had Zulu. I had Zulu.
That's true. You had Zulu, so go on. Have
2000.
You see what we got put up with, Chris?
Yeah, it's...
go for it, mate. This is with Russell Crowe, yeah?
Yeah, Russell Crowe and...
do you know what? I've never seen this movie, I'll tell you now. I've never seen it.
Paul Bettany, isn't it?
Isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. You're right. Yes, I know he's in it, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's basically Russell Crowe's character. He's as the film suggests, he's a master and commander of a ship. He's not a captain. He's one rank below, so he's allowed to command a ship, but he's not classed as a captain. So he's in charge of this ship, and Paul Bettany's character is the ship's surgeon, and they get tasked. They're in the South Atlantic, and they get tasked with trying to track down and intercept a French ship. And the film is basically, if you've seen pirate movies, it's very similar in the sense that you've got the high seas, they get attacked, there's cannonballs flying left, right and centre, people's arms and legs getting blown off by a cannonball or a splintered bit of timber from the deck. It's things like...
I love the way you say shit. Like, a splintered bit of timber.
And Paul...
You need to be on like Jack and Ori or something, seriously.
and it's basically the film... One of the main things, although obviously the reason they're there is to try and track down this French ship, it's also the realization between the two characters of what each other, what makes each other tick. Because it's like Russell Crowe plays a violin, and Paul Bettany plays some instrument as well, so they end up like playing in their downtime. They'll play like their instruments and stuff, and that kind of helps like soothe the crew. The crew like it and stuff like that. And they one of the crew goes a bit mad, and he ends up shooting this kid by accident, and the captain Paul Bettany's character basically says to him, "Look," and they're trying to trace down this. They know roughly where this French ship has gone, but it's bigger than them. It's got more guns, but they're still tasked with having to catch it if they can. And Paul Bettany's character basically says, "This kid's going to die if we don't go to land. The only way I need to operate in him, and I can't do it at sea because the ship's all over the place." So they decide to go into, I think it's the Galapagos Islands or something like that, and so they set landfall there, and the surgeon does what he does for the kid, and he needs some more bits, so he goes off like looking for, I don't know, bark off a tree or something. I can't remember what it is now because it's a while since I've seen it. But when he gets so far on the island, he goes up quite high that he can see down the other side, and there's the French ship. On the other side. On the other side of the island. So he now thinks, shit. So he kind of goes back and he says, I can't remember what the name of the ship is now, but he says that the Acheron or something like that. And he says that the Acheron is literally round the other side of the island. If we go round, we can catch them. And there's this fucking huge battle and everything. But it stood out for me. It's kind of a long film. I think it's about 2.5. Have you seen it?
I have.
I think it's 2.5 hours long. It's not one of these short films, but it's just it's the portrayal of like ship life, and like I say, you look at things like Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that, but this is like, whereas that's humorous side of it all, this is like the serious side of it.
You could say it's like an old version of Das Boot, because Das Boot's like no, because it's the realization. It's like these guys are claustrophobic and they're stuck in this tube. They can't get out of land or whatnot. Yeah. And then if you've got a ship like that, which shows you the real effects of sea life, like short rations and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, the film...
Shitty sleeping arrangements and stuff.
Exactly.
Scurvy, mutinies and whatnot.
But apparently...
more scurvy.
Yeah. And the film is based on a series of books wrote by... Because the character actually existed and the ship actually existed. But it's based on the British were chasing an American ship. So, of course, to sell it to the American audience, they had to change it. So they changed it to a French ship. But if you read the books, I think there's like 12 books in the series. And the film is kind of based around several of them. It's not based on just one particular one. So they've taken bits of different battles and stories and made like one big film from it, sort of thing. It's just like I said, they twisted the story a little bit to sell it to the audience and stuff. But it's a very good film, well worth watching. It can be a bit of a long film, but it's up to me. I think it's worth the slog. So,
Okay.
and Russell Crowe's in it. Paul Bettany's quite a good character in it. So,
Vision.
Yeah.
Yes,
I enjoyed it. It was one of those films that kind of looked. When I saw the trailer, I was like, "That kind of looks a bit boring."
Yeah, that's why I never bothered.
Napoleon, like clothing, kind of.
Yeah,
Kind of
is that
the
a turn
wigs,
off? Yeah.
and you're losing me. Like, it's really boring. You just look like a toff. And it's like, I remember, when you get on Facebook, you get those little like feeder headlines,
Yeah,
and it's like, one of the greatest wartime maritime films might finally be getting a sequel. I was like, one of the greatest.
Yeah, that's right.
Clicked on it, and then it's just like, and it said it basically, and I was like, ooh, kind of sounds good. Watched it. It was enjoyable.
Right.
It was a good film, and it was like, I should have watched that when it came out, and I shouldn't have been like turned off by just the clothing or whatever. It ended up being it's long, and it's not like action all the way. There's a lot
of downtime in it, sort of thing.
and I think that's where it builds the tension of like, are they going to be doing stuff like?
Yeah,
The crew want to go one way, or the commander wants to go another way.
There's one scene in it where it's foggy, and Russell Crowe's character is along with there's a couple of guys up top, obviously, and
the crow's nest.
Yeah, and they got that.
I can't believe I actually got that. Hey, pirate term.
with their telescopes, but he's standing on the deck, and there's some like in them days they press ganged people. So there's these like young guys, they're only like 16, 17 years old, if they're even that, I suppose, and he's got them doing something on the deck or whatever, and he has this telescope, and you see him, and he looks into he's like basically scanning the fog sort of thing, and he sees this flash, and it like zooms in on his eye, and it's like his brain saying, "Shit, I know what that is," and he just turns around and he just screams at the men, "Get down, get on the deck," and these cannonballs just come flying through the ship, just breaking everything, and
that's where
it's an amazing scene. That's
the payoff, because you're like, okay, there's a bit of slog.
It's a slow burn,
Because isn't it like the French? Isn't it faster?
Yeah, it's
like
faster and more guns.
It's the Black Pearl, basically.
Yeah.
There's no kind of stopping it in a fight. They've got to be tactical, and there's a way he does it to win the battle.
Fastest ship in the fleet.
Yeah, he gets it in the end, but like you say, he has to play more tactical, because he would be outgunned and they'd all basically die in a straight up battle.
Yeah.
So he has to pick his moments and pick and choose where he. So, it's basically that. So it's it's a good film. I think it's worth the watch, but it is a long film. It's not one of these 1.5 to 2 hour films. It's 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a slog.
Sounds just like my sort of thing.
Yeah, but it is good. But it's like Chris said. There's lots of elements of downtime, but they do fill it quite well.
But it doesn't feel like padding.
No, because it's like we were just saying. Life on those ships wasn't fucking easy. It wasn't. So they do. It doesn't jump from one action scene to the next, because they're sailing on. I think it's around South America or something. So I think a couple of days go by before they even see the ship again. So it's like, what do you do in the meantime? So they don't cut to the next action scene. The next that might take 10, 20 minutes of that little bit, and you think, well, they're not really doing a lot, but they are. You just have to invest yourself in it and realise that there's a lot more. I like it. Like I say, it's a good film. So.
I like it.
Yes.
Chris, over to you, sir. Number two.
This is my OG, the one that got me pretty much into war films.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that I used to play in the back garden.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's Platoon.
Oh, nice.
Platoon, good literally. Film. My cousin got it. He borrowed it off a friend, and then literally,
Vietnam again, isn't
Vietnam.
it? Yeah.
We just watched it over and over and over and over again. And then we went down to the old Army and Surplus, where it was before age restrictions, so we could buy like...
Yeah, that was here, wasn't it? That's right.
Smoke bombs and like these little...
Yes, I remember that shop.
Yeah,
knives and batons.
That's it, yeah.
So we got full militaried up, and then you used to like little smoke bombs on the path and then hide in the bush. just shouting platoon.
You couldn't have just gone down the corner shop and get a little banger.
Oh yeah, we had those as well.
Do you remember those? And you smash them to the ground?
Yeah,
Bang.
stink bombs. It was all like then just shouting platoon quotes. It was like, literally, and this is the reason why I associate with war and that fun time that I had with that. And so this film, you're following Charlie Sheen's character, which is just cast as Chris, new recruit. No one's got any time for new. They don't even want to learn your name for like the first few weeks because it's
he's meant to be quite a young.
He's a young
guy.
He's a young guy, but like you don't learn the new guy's name because they could be dead. So
that's right. Yes.
Like, so you got to get into the swing of it, and there's a lot of infighting. So they're not all on the same team in Platoon. So you have your factions and the blacks and the commanders, and then the rich and the white. It's all class, but then because that's it. Chris Charlie Sheen's is a rich guy who's kind of said, "Oh, it's not fair for you guys to only come to war," and they're like, "Man, you've got to be rich."
Yeah.
And then you're following.
They suss him out straight away, didn't they?
It's set over, I think it's his 2 or 3 years full combat, and there must be, I think, 3 or 4 intense battle scenes with obviously the wall. You kind of feel the trenches, you feel the tension, and there's this great scene where Charlie Sheen falls asleep at night, and he's not allowed. He's on the claymores, and like I've watched it so many times. Like I could, they are there the whole time. And you can see them, and then they start moving, and like, oh fuck, they're right in front of you, and then it just pretty much kicks off. And I like it because there's this awesome scene with Willem Dafoe. You've got Willem Dafoe in it. You got
star-studded cast in this. Tom Berenger.
What's it? Forrest Whitaker. Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
He is. Yes, you're right.
There's a pointless answer for you. So and it's set out following him, and there's tensions between the two commanders. You got like Barnes, Berengers, and Elias, and they are just butting heads the whole time. They do not like each other, but at the end of the day, you kind of think you're on the same team. That's it. But there's this whole scene where he guns him down.
Not the case at all.
No, not the. But there's that famous scene that has been like spoofed to hell. Anytime someone's being shot, slow motion, it's always that music.
Oh, then they made a trance version of it, didn't they? Back in the 90s, I was like,
but that,
yes, from Platoon, put your arms up, everyone.
That scene where he's on his knees and the chopper goes over.
It's the poster, isn't it? Of him doing that, isn't it?
But that's when the movie shifts from being a war film to like there's a scene where Charlie Sheen, he's asked, "Is he alive?" and he goes, "No, he's dead." So he knows he's done something. There's a clock. And that's when the movie shifts to a point of the tension's ramped up now. And then it's near the end. And the whole ending scene, like, barely anyone survived. It's just carnage.
It's brutal,
brutal carnage. And it's just... I love these movies for the fact that I don't ever want to be there or in that...
The situation ever,
For something that I love so much, I'd never want to be so far away from that life. Just give me the movie... all time, but it's so this one's like my favourite sort of like combat military battle because this one could be historically inaccurate, but I couldn't tell you, Same
with me, mate. Again, Vietnam's one of the worst ones I don't know shit about, really.
Why did they? Is it something like they didn't want the North and the South to be? There was too much communism or something. I don't even know why the Americans were there.
Yeah.
So it's famously a battle where the Americans shouldn't have been there. They went in, they decided, well, we're gonna police this, we're gonna be the peacekeepers, and they absolutely fucked it up.
Yeah. Sake. As always.
Yeah, to the degree where so many hundreds of thousands of people died. I think you're right. I think it was something about the North and the South. It was either... I don't know. It's either the fact that they're fighting, they want to stop it, or there was to stop the unification. There was something like that. I don't know, but yeah, the Americans went in and got it wrong.
But I do love
but they never tell
a Vietnam movie. Like for such a fuck up, they do like to keep hashing out the same. They like to release their own.
I don't think they've actually won any battle that they got themselves involved in, have they? They've had their asses handed to them nearly every fucking battle.
Except the one
they make up that they won it,
Except the one against us, unfortunately.
Well, that's debatable.
You talk about the Battle of Independence.
Yeah. Sword, yeah, they kind of got it, didn't they?
That's debatable.
Well, that's where my history.
Yeah.
You kind of go, oh,
History, bitch.
Damn colonies.
No, I mean, it was one of those films. So from then, I've always kind of like, oh, there's a new war film.
Yeah.
I was hooked, and it's a brilliant film.
So it's your top Vietnam film as well.
top Vietnam, top combat film. Like, and I'll give you the reason why it's like not number one sort of thing.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's the reason why you went to an army surplus store as well.
Yeah, it was.
You
Yeah,
did,
like,
yeah, you did when you were a kid. I mean, I
full blown combat,
Yeah.
ghillie suit. I know it wasn't inaccurate, and then like it was bad because you just terrifying.
Did you do the whole Defoe pose?
No, but
in the garden?
you're just terrifying old. Like looking back, you're just shouting stuff.
yeah.
And nowadays you'd be fucking shit scared.
Yeah.
But I think back then there was all just pesky kids.
Nice. Man. Anything else on Platoon?
If you haven't seen it, just watch it.
Do you know what? I never knew what Platoon was until I had it for the Commodore 64. It's like, it's a war movie.
oh yeah.
No,
Just a word.
Is it? Yeah. I must have been 8 at the time. Anyway, number ones.
It's number one.
Go for it, H. What is the number one be-all, end-all war movie?
I love this film, and I'd probably stick it in my top 10 of best films of all time.
Oh.
So it, probably, I think it's probably the most accessible example of a film that's not a proper war film, and that is The Great Escape.
Yeah.
I did. It's on my list. Not my top 5, but I didn't put it in my list because I knew someone would have it.
I consider
What was
this
the film?
Oh, it's amazing, and
It would have been like 6 or 7 probably for me.
Oh, fair enough. I mean,
yeah.
and it's rolled out most Christmases, and you know, it's the film that you sat down.
Christmas, Easter, always, It's just...
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and you sit down and you watch it. This is one of those films I sat down and watched with my dad. So released in 1963 with the immortal Steve McQueen. Actors like James Garner, Richard Attenborough, Donald Pleasance, Charles Bronson. Yes.
Star-studded cast, mate.
that's awesome. That cast.
He's the blind guy now, isn't he?
He's the blind guy. Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah.
That's it.
With a score by Elmer Bernstein. Now, I love the soundtrack to this, even more so that because Elmer Bernstein used to do a lot of war films, he used to do a lot of westerns. That was what he was famous for. But also, he is probably the main influence for completely forgotten his name, the composer of Star Wars,
John Williams.
Williams. If you listen to any of John Williams' scores, so particularly Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Raiders March, you'll hear Elmer Bernstein all the way through that. And anything that he does, it's like a signature.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Have a listen. One of the great things about this film, so anybody who hasn't seen it, it's the mass escape of British Commonwealth POWs from Stalag Luft 3.
Yeah.
And various routes and means of escape, from tunnels to motorcycle chases.
It's a true story.
It's a true story, probably slightly more elaborate.
This is one of those factual, where if it doesn't bother you,
It's
just
a
go with it. It's brilliant
factual
because you don't
myth.
know. You don't know any different.
No.
Yeah,
As far as you're aware, it's true.
I think it was mainly based around British POWs, but obviously the Americans have inserted themselves into this history, which nobody gives a crap because it's a really good film.
It's a really good film, yeah.
But the American's really good in it. Like, isn't he
Was it Hicks or something?
the
Hicks.
suave guy? Isn't he? Who ends up with the black? Is it those two? Is that the American?
Steve McQueen next to
Steve
Bike,
McQueen's
yeah.
character. So he's the guy in the leather jacket. I've talked about the motorcycle chase.
Which he did himself.
Which he did, because he's one of
He
those
did his
rare
own
actors who
stunts.
did all of his own stunts.
Yeah.
And I always respect an actor who does that, which is a lot of people talk about Tom Cruise and
Yeah.
go, I really hate Tom Cruise. But
He does his own stuff.
in every film, he does his own stunts, much like Harrison Ford, who is my Hollywood dad, obviously.
Yeah.
Nice.
If you're listening, Gal, which you won't because you don't listen to the ones that you're
No,
not in.
exactly, yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah, well, what the hell, man? This is considered to be one of the best stunts
of all time, number one. Most of the time, when there's any, it's classed as the number one.
And I think it's very easy for people who haven't seen it to go, oh, yeah, whatever. There's
He only
clearly
jumps.
more modern stuff. But if you watch it, you'll totally understand
How
exactly
heavy that bike actually is.
Yeah,
that's the joke.
Because it's got the sidecar as well to attach to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a German motorbike.
I don't know what the bike is.
Yeah,
but
it's a BMW.
Is it a BMW?
I don't think he does.
Does it? I can't remember if he did
No,
or
I
not.
think
I don't think
It
Indiana Jones.
does, but he
That's
breaks
Indiana
it
Jones.
He breaks it off. He does break it
Yeah, 'cause
off.
when he does the jump, it's just the bike itself.
He
But
breaks it off.
to get one of these machines in the air and actually do that stunt for real, I mean, Christ almighty.
He puts a wire across the road, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And of course they drive into it and it knocks them off and he kills them, and he, like you say, he drives off on it, and then eventually he takes the sidecar off and he has the bike on its own, so that's when he does the jump. So
But I won't reveal too much about the film for those who haven't seen it, because it's one of those ones I want people to go in and enjoy. There's many elements that probably all four of us could pick out and say, oh, that's a really good scene. I mean, the one with Donald Pleasance as the blind guy, when he tries to prove the point and goes across and picks the pin off of the floor. Oh, I can see that pin from so many places.
That's right,
And then he gets tripped up. And I mean, when they're trying to smuggle themselves out, and obviously Pleasance gets shot, and it's James Garner's character, isn't it, who gets away because he's been trying to help him the whole time.
That's the one I thought.
The
Isn't
suave
Charles
character.
Bronson the Russian in this? Or
Polish.
Or Polish, beg your pardon, Polish.
Yeah. I mean, the whole facade of digging those tunnels and smuggling the dirt out in their pockets.
The way they do it is so clever.
It is clever, yeah. And
they've rebuilt all of that now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you've got the tunnels. You
can go to. I can't remember where exactly it is in Germany or Austria or wherever it is, but you can actually go there.
And you can walk
And
in it.
although you can't go into the tunnel, they have above ground. They've done. It's like it's
Stone,
300,
isn't it?
It's nearly 400 feet long.
It's like a trough, isn't it?
And they have like the metal, the wooden rails and the wooden trolley that they put all the earth in. It's high on my list of places to go and see.
But I mean, what a feat of engineering for guys that were distracted in a
and the electric lights they had down there and everything.
Yeah, I mean, the main bits of the story is true. You got Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're true.
Yeah.
They were found. The nasty guard was actually one of them. The guy who they could get stuff off was actually a guard. And
there's a lot of truth in it. But obviously
the bit where they get out of the truck and they go for a pee, that's...
I know, but for the purposes of storytelling,
it's brilliant.
It's a nice
I liked
little
it.
ad-lib, isn't
it was only until you kind of go, or you look into it, or you watch documentaries that you start to find out what's what. But from a film point of view, you think it's totally... it goes perfectly.
It's believable, and
I love it.
This is, I think it's more an action and adventure film more than anything. And the characters all gel. They all believe in what each other is doing, and they all support each other. And it's a feel good film as well. So again, it ticks many boxes for me. And being one of the big adventure fans with Indiana Jones, it has that feeling of the great big adventure about it. But yeah, Steve McQueen.
But then there's the tension of them getting caught and stuff as well. All that's
definitely.
still in there as well.
Yeah, it is. And much like you're saying about Monday's films like The Hurt Locker, so you're feeling with Jeremy Renner the fact that he has no fear, but we're feeling what he should be feeling. Yeah, exactly that. So with the tension that they built...
That bit where they're running and they're short, you're like, oh, fuck, they're short.
Yeah.
You're like, the tension's there. You're like, oh.
It is there. It definitely is.
And at the train station, you feel that.
Isn't Richard Attenborough in this
Yeah,
as well?
Richard Attenborough.
Isn't it? Well,
Yeah.
Or John Hammond himself.
Playing Richard Attenborough, but a great ensemble cast, like you said, and I think it's one of those.
One of the all-time greats by far.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah, and Chris talks about like comfort films. You know, it's just one of those ones that you can just stick on and enjoy time and time and time again.
I'd tell you, the next 20 years, that's going to get remade. Like
reckon?
all studded cast again.
I think they did.
As The Rock as Steve McQueen.
Do you know what? It wouldn't put it past it. I'm telling you now. Or it would be like what's his name, Zac Efron as Steve McQueen or something. There will definitely be a remake at some point. Sorry, John. Go for it.
When they were putting the film together, they obviously had to go back and try and make it as accurate as they could, while still making it a film and a story. So there's half of it's probably true, and half of it is they've embellished a little bit. But apparently,
half and half, like a good pizza.
Apparently, former prisoner of wars asked the filmmakers to exclude details about the help they received from their home country, such as maps, papers, and tools hidden in gift packages, lest it jeopardise future prisoner of war escapes.
Oh, really?
So the filmmakers complied, and so there's certain things in the film they didn't put in there. And I think that was quite interesting, actually, because I suppose it's like the amount of times you see, it's like in a film, and the police are racing to catch someone, and they put all their sirens on, and you think, well, they fucking know you're coming now, don't they?
So, yeah.
So it's an element of that, and I thought, actually, it's quite good.
Makes sense, yeah.
I suppose, it's things like that you knowing what the reality is probably like. You instantly pick holes.
It's a fun film,
but then you suddenly realise there is a reason for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun film. It's worth a good watch, but there is an element of truth in it. I mean,
and it's still,
you think it's all made up, but it's not all.
Yeah,
there is actually some
tells that pertinent tale about war. I mean, all right, again, it's not on the battlefield, but it's the ramifications.
It's not gory at all, so
it
could be on at any, and that's why it's always on at Christmas.
It's always on at Christmas.
And I remember watching it with my nan and stuff, like, oh, you can't watch this.
Yeah,
again, it's back to what I was saying about, Dad, not this movie again. Every Sunday, every Christmas,
it's so good to watch.
It got to that point where I was like, it's that film again, Dad. Let's watch it.
It absolutely was. I
mean, I always do a Steve McQueen if I'm like, I got a tennis, but even like when I'm doing the dog, I'm like,
the Call the King.
I thought you meant get a motorbike and start drag racing then or something.
That whole motion.
And that's parodied so many times in so many movies.
I do it all the time, and it's just like.
I think The Simpsons did it, didn't
they? They did, yeah. That's when Maggie tries to escape the nursery.
That's it,
It was all about The Great Escape, that's a great episode
The
as well.
King, what a character.
Anything else on The Great Escape, sir?
Nothing more to be said.
Okay, my number one is going to be the most obvious number one of all time. Saving Private Ryan is my number one. For a few reasons. It's not just the obvious, but for a few reasons. Starting first off, that opening scene. That's, again, probably in the top 5 opening scenes of all time for me.
You can't top that.
Can't top that at all. No. That is just a massive blow to you from the exact start. I mean, you get like a little tiny scene before that happens, but then the next minute you're on the water, the boat lands, doors drop, next minute bullets are hitting these guys straight out of the bat. How this is shot very well, and I didn't even know this until I looked it up, but roughly around the time, I think it was 98 this came out, so we all had, there was a big phase of camcorders at the time, wasn't there? So roughly around that time when it was getting made, there were the first time you had digital handheld camcorders. That opening scene is made entirely through camcorders.
Is it?
Not actual panorama visions or anything like that. Spielberg done it all handheld with digital camcorders.
I think it's amazing where it goes in and out of the water, and the sound comes.
The attention to detail in that opening scene. There's a bit where the medic gets shot through his spleen, and it comes out of his canteen, his water canteen, and it's just pissing out blood. And you're like, that's good.
Loads of little nicks and tricks.
Little things like that, and you're just like,
I mean, this opening scene impacted so many people. I mean, it even made it onto a video game at one point, didn't it? Which was like Medal of Honor or Frontline, I believe it was.
Played it and replayed it and replayed it.
Again, but that's why you bought that game, was just to play that opening scene. You didn't play it for the rest of it. No. Like, once you'd done that level, it's like, I can't be asked to play this game anymore. Other reasons for it as well, I think this movie takes place at the heart of World War II, which is where it really needs to really shine and shows you the audacities of war and stuff, and how people can simply lose their lives in a split second. The realization these guys haven't got body armor and all this sort of stuff. They're literally going out there, straight out there, taking all these bullets, and you see men shouting on the floor, they're screaming for their mums, and all this sort of stuff. It's like, it is hard hitting, and you have to try and remember Spielberg's previous war film has none of this whatsoever. No. It's literally a story about captured Jews at the end of the day, isn't it? Whereas this one is like, this is the full frontal of war, and how
it's no holds barred.
Exactly, and how it it can affect you, hit you, and just be like,
again, it's a film you want to watch in surround sound.
Again, 100%.
I dare anyone to sit there listening to that in surround sound, or go to a cinema, or even better, and watch it, and not duck when you hear the fucking bullets going over your head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I must admit, I did.
And
you hear this thing going.
The sound effects in this movie, again, THX, which I'm kind of gutted doesn't exist anymore, done the best job, and they won the Academy Award for it as well, and I can't deny they fucking deserved it for this film. Just a little pew with the guns and ricochets and whatnot, just so good. Other moments in this movie, again, it's not all just action. There's other scenes where they're trying. Do you remember the scene where they're trying up the trench and the one guy's looking at it through the scope? So you kind of see it through his eyes and not just seen again because it's not necessary. Doesn't need to do it. No. The last scene where they're all like gathering around and waiting for the Germans to come, and that tension of I mean, if I was there and I heard that tank and you see the ground rumbling of it, I would shit myself. Pants, I kid you not. I would absolutely kid. There's spoiler alert. There's a scene where a guy gets stabbed by a German, and the way the German talks to him, he talks to him in German. Again, someone at work. Don't you remember Ryan Howe? Yeah, remember Ryan. Ryan Howe told me what he says in translated, and it's something like, good night, sweet prince, and all that sort of stuff. It's I can't remember was it word for word, but it's like it's really effective if you knew what he was actually saying to him and stuff. It'll be over in a minute, stuff like that. It just freaky and scary, whatnot.
When he comes down the stairs and looks at the guy who. He knows he's just killed his mate, and he does. And he just does nothing.
And just like you feel like, you should have done something, you piece of shit.
He just walks off, doesn't he?
Because he's so shit scared, isn't he?
But he again builds his courage up at the end because he finds the guy who he set free earlier and whatnot. Other parts of it as well. So I want to mention, I just said earlier that I was never into war films. My dad used to watch these all the time, whether it's on telly, if it's a documentary. He is fascinated by war, full stop. Yeah. And I, as a kid, was so ignorant about it because I was sci-fi, fantasy. I didn't want to do history, war, whatnot. Yeah. So we went and saw this movie, and it's probably the first film that got me to watch war films with my dad. So every time, this is kind of like yours is Great Escape with your dad, and mine's Saving Private Ryan with my dad. Although my dad did watch Great Escape as well, and I had to sit through that as well. But this, I think, was the one that got me to appreciate them, like them, get into them, know the history about it and stuff. Obviously, through school, you obviously learn it, but this was sort of the one where it just got me to carry on with war films. And then, like I said, We Were Soldiers was after that, and Enemy of the Gates was after that as well. So, again, this is why it has to be... I know it's the most obvious one. Of course it is. Again, star-studded cast as well. You got...
it's not what I thought your number one would be, though.
Really?
I'll be honest, like...
I thought it would be your number two.
No.
This is on my list, 100%. No facts about it. It should be on. The only reason it's not, I thought
everyone would have it.
Everybody have it on there.
That's why I took it off mine.
And it's the only reason I've not spoken about this film. Yeah. And if I'm honest, I probably would have swapped out for Monuments Men, and this would be further down, sort of thing.
Gotcha,
And I knew you would talk about it so much.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would just be repeating the same thing. And literally, I just want to make out like this film is on there.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favourites.
And there's also other bits as well with this film, which I never knew about. If you lost brothers or other siblings, that you would go home, you get the chance to go home, you can get to leave war. Never knew stuff about like that as well. Didn't know that was a thing.
That started in the Pacific with an Australian family.
Again, star-studded cast: Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore, Barry Pepper,
Tom Sizemore,
Bryan Cranston's in it for like a split second.
I like the medic. What's his name?
Giovanni Ribisi. Yeah, he's good in it as well. Vin Diesel's in it for it's
my favourite
split
role.
Second, what of his?
Yeah, because it was before he'd done anything, and then
it was
he pops and he gets sniped.
Yeah, straight away
before he was.
But again, that's another realization how we were like, 1 minute he's there just trying to help a little girl, next minute bang.
Yeah,
that's all it takes. Yeah. But Barry Pepper as the sniper in that film, he's so good. I love Barry Pepper as an actor. I mean, he's barely anything now. It's quite a shame, really, but he does really good. But yeah. So the movie as well, as long as the connection with my dad, that's why it had to be number one. Yeah. Like John said, this is screaming to be one of those ones in 5.1 surround sound. Oh. I've got it in 4K and I haven't watched it. It's been sealed for like years and I haven't watched it yet. So I need to watch the 4K.
Never watched it in 4K, I need to.
But it was really weird. I remember years ago we were talking about this movie, and Gal is obviously on the show. He has never seen it before. Never ever seen it. Funny enough, the same week, it was playing at the cinema for one night only. So we all took him to see it, and mate, his mouth just dropped. He was like, what an eye-opener. I mean, especially, again, the opening scene. You're just like, damn.
Yeah, that scene on the beach right at the beginning where the guy gets his arm blown off, and then he stumbles over, and you don't realise that he's lost his arm, and then he stumbles over, and he picks up, and you think, shit, it's his arm, and he starts wandering around with his arm in his hand.
Starts carrying it around, doesn't he?
Yeah, you think, fucking hell.
I love the part when the guy gets shot in the helmet and it ricochets and he's like, oh, you lucky fuck, but then gets shot again. It's like, damn.
Those, more than likely, all of that actually happened at some point. Maybe not on that beach, but do you know what I mean? Like you say, you get shot in a helmet and you think, shit, thank God I was wearing a helmet.
It's one hell of a reenactment, let's put it that way.
It's got to have happened.
I think it's a good representation of the real environment of war.
Horror of war.
The theatre of war.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah,
This is one of those films, though, that unlike Monument, where I could just put it on, or I can whack it on, I can watch this. It's not something that I like to start and not finish, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's I'm committed to it, so it doesn't get us watched as much for me as much anymore. I still watch it a lot, but it's not as easy to get on as quickly. You know, it's
and without wanting to finish it,
without
as well,
watching all of it, because it's where do you start it from? Because you're missing. If you miss the beginning. Like
it's all about the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much bits in there you can't really, and the actual like Saving Private, it's such a like basic afterthought of the film. It's like, oh, here he is at the end, and I thought,
yeah, again, and again, that was one of the reasons why I liked him, because I didn't know that was what it was about. Because I thought, again, it's just a war movie. It's about war. No, it's about saving this man. And again, when you watch the trailer, I was very misled because I thought Ryan was Tom Hanks.
yeah,
Because no mention of Matt Damon in that trailer whatsoever.
And that's the twist.
And that's the twist,
yeah.
isn't
Because I
it?
thought he was him at the end.
Huh?
Spoiler alert.
Say?
I thought it's when you see him at the beginning.
I thought that was Hanks.
Yeah.
Yes, because again, it goes from that shot again when he's drinking the drink, and it's like for him, and
The instant failure when you go, right, so we know now it's this character.
Yeah.
That's a movie secret, in it? When it zooms in and you go, oh, it's him.
Yeah. Matt Damon's
nice,
character, isn't it?
so many reasons why it's number one.
Yeah.
That's why it's number one. John, what's your number one, sir?
Well, I was going to say some more about that, but... Yeah.
Oh, go on and carry on. Sorry, beg your pardon.
Well, I did military history, so I've been to the battlefields. I've been to the beach.
Have you?
And
Beaches of Normandy.
yeah, and when you go there and you look at that hill, like that cliff that they were basically fighting against, you know, you think, Jesus, if they're like in the film pillboxes and up there with machine guns, no wonder they just fucking slaughtered them on the beach, because the beach is so empty, there is nothing there. And then
They can't cover for anything, can they?
And on top of that cliff, on that actual beach, on top of the cliff is a big American graveyard. And I think it's 45,000 buried in there. And it's all snow white crosses. All the crosses are the whitest of white, because they have people mow the lawns and keep them clean and stuff like that. And I walked up and down a few of them, as you do, just to have a little look. And they're all white crosses, and then the names are chiseled out onto it, so you can read the names of whoever it is. But they're still all white. And you come across one in the middle, and it's like gold lettering and blue, and you think, well, why is this? And it turns out it was President Eisenhower's son is buried there, and he was killed 4 days after D-Day, so they'd obviously already landed. And so I was wondering why has this cross got coloured writing on it, and all the others are white?
I was waiting for you to say he's got Ryan on there or something.
No, but. Yeah, it does hit home. It's a very, very good film in that respect, you know. Like I say, I knew of it anyway, so when I knew they were making it, I was well stoked for them to. I was hoping they would do a good job of it, and they did. So yeah, but yeah, that's the end of that. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's the number one then?
My number one was your number two.
Oh, Land of Mine, your number one.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about it?
There's little bits, basically, I suppose.
Go on, then.
That piece in the film, they have a section of beach, and he basically says to them, right, there's 45,000 mines in this piece of beach, and it's only a small bit that they're looking at. He said,
and there's 45,000 just in that small part of the beach.
There's 45,000 mines here. He said, and he does say, I think it was like the whole coast is like 1.5 million or whatever. But this small section, it's like, what is it, 100 yards by 100 yards?
Yeah,
it's not a very big place. He says there's 45,000 mines there, and you can't go home until you've got rid of them all. And so he says to him, you help us, you get rid of all the mines, you can go home. And that's how he sells it to them, because they're prisoners of war.
They're prisoners of war.
And the guy that's in charge of them, he's a Danish soldier. He fought with the British paratroopers, and so he's now come back home, and he gets tasked with looking after the kids. And he gets very, very angry. He goes back to one of his officers and he says, "But they're just kids. You know, why have you sent me kids? I want soldiers. I want people." And they basically said, "Well, that's all you've got. Get on with it," sort of thing. So he hates them to start with because he's Danish and
They're German.
took over his country. And he basically says to them, nobody wants you here. Everybody hates you. Just get rid of the mines and then you can go home. So he keeps promising them this the whole time, doesn't he?
Right.
And then I think there's a woman and a couple of kids that live nearby.
Yeah.
And one of them gets in trouble. One of the kids goes walks out onto the beach or something,
Yeah.
doesn't he? And one of the soldiers basically goes out across the beach, even though they haven't cleared the mines on it yet, to save the kid. And this is what makes him think there's more to these guys than you think there is. And he he sort of like becomes friends with them, sort of thing. But you didn't touch on the very end of it.
I don't want to spoil it.
No,
I want people to watch it.
Yeah,
You've just like spoiled half of it.
No, I haven't. There's lots more that go on. There's other reasons why he gets to like them, shall we say. He starts off hating them.
I could tell him the whole spiel if you wanted to, but I want people to watch it. That's the point of it.
I'm the same. I want people to watch it because it's a film with a story that's not being told before.
But war is subjective, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a matter of perspective.
Yes.
And
there's no actual fighting in it. There's no, there's no. Although there are soldiers, there's no guns and shooting each other.
Exactly.
There's none of that.
What I said. Yeah.
It's a part of the war. It's at the very end of the war. It's 1945. The war has ended, so it's a part of the war in a sense that it's not being told. It's a bit like Das Boot and stuff, So when I knew they were making it, I thought this could be quite interesting. This, so watched it, loved it, and it would have been my number one, but. Actually, sorry, it is my number one.
He's your number one.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, again, I'd have put Saving Private Ryan and all that up there as well. And that would have probably been my number two. I think this would have still stayed as number one.
Yeah, it's a very emotional ride of a movie.
Yes. Again, it's a film that you should watch. So, in subtitles as well. So.
But if it wasn't Private Ryan, would have been there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So.
Good pick, sir. I can't deny it's a good pick.
It was a good pick. It was your pick. Yeah.
Hopefully that's the last clash. What's your number one, Chris?
Yeah, it's the last clash.
It is the last clash. Woohoo!
So my number one is a 2009 film. Okay. Obviously, Platoon's my favourite combat film sort of thing. But like you with The Great Escape, this would be in your top 10. And this is in my top 10, maybe even in the top 5. Okay. So I was like, there's no way I can't.
Of all time.
Right.
And it's my favourite film by him, and it's Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, yeah.
Good shout, sir.
It throws all history,
Again,
all like, there's
out
nothing,
the window from his side.
Nothing about it being factually.
No, but you don't care.
No.
No.
Like, Tarantino is pretty much one of my favourite directors.
Yeah.
So when he did this, I saw the Nazis in the trailers, and I was like in the water. I was like, oh my God, yes. And the way he does like the comic book stories of each character, and they're building a team. It's so good that like I love the film so much that I was like, right, that's my number one because it is in my top 5. So I can't not have it.
Yeah.
And the opening scene
alone is phenomenal.
Is so tense. Like you see this German SS soldier come in.
Just two dudes talking.
And he's talking.
Hans Lander.
Yeah, he's talking. And is it French
Waltz.
at that point or is it English?
He's talking French.
Yeah, French.
Yeah.
And then the way he
switches
it, and then it's like, you're like, oh.
Yeah, because when he gets to the house, it's like, oh, can I have some of your delicious
I've never
milk?
seen a Nazi
just
be
like
so nice. And
yes, exactly.
Mademoiselle, thank you.
The next minute is like, you're hiding Jews now, aren't you?
Goes
it's just, where did that come from?
Apparently, that was when he got the pipe out.
Yeah.
Allegedly, when Hans Lander says to him, may I smoke? And he gets out and he's got this like Sherlock Holmes pipe, and it's bigger. It's a bigger pipe than what the French
has got.
That apparently, I read out because I love that film. I've seen it a few times. The intention apparently from Christoph Waltz is that I know your secrets. Right. That was why he got the pipe out. Is to just say like, I am the better man.
I'm the better man. I was about to say,
I know. And that's when he turns around and he says, you are hiding Jews, and it's just like and the French bloke just there's fuck all he can do because he knows now. He knows that he knows.
But it's literally he comes in and he just goes. He's talking French and he just goes. That's the end of my French, and that's all I'm prepared to give you.
Yeah.
we're going to switch to English.
yeah.
So they can't understand us.
And he goes, they're there, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're down there. And like the terror, like the way he's so mean, and then Tarantino does it so good.
Yeah.
The camera just drops.
And he never blinks on that scene.
No.
When Christopher Waltz looks at the camera, he
Does he not?
never blinks. He's
Does he
like,
not? Yeah.
where are they? Point out where they are.
Yeah.
The character of the lady, the Frank,
The one who escapes.
the terror
Yeah.
in her eyes, like you can feel like
Absolutely.
you can feel the terror of like what it must be like to play hide and seek for your life, basically.
Yeah.
And the way she runs as well, and just like...
I had never seen Christoph Waltz or heard of him before.
No, me neither.
This is
Me
the
neither.
first time. I don't know if he'd been in stuff or Tarantino.
Must
He
have
done
been.
he done Django beforehand.
But that was
No,
after.
Django's after.
Django's
After. Oh,
So I
okay.
was in,
Yeah.
so and she's running, and it's just
And he's calling her name.
He's just calling her, "Mademoiselle,
Yeah, he
Mademoiselle."
knows who she is. He knows her
asking-
name.
he's
Au
like,
revoir, cher chalet.
Because he asked for some cream for for his tea,
right.
which is a
Yeah.
good callback.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you got that bit, and then you got the Brad Pitt, which is like one of my favourite.
Yeah, War Daddy.
One of my favourite.
Not War Daddy. Was it War Daddy?
Well,
No, it's not War
his
Daddy.
favourite films, because he's only
oh,
in it
no,
subtly. Lando,
yeah.
is it Lando something? Lando Reigns or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Lando Reigns,
He goes, I want 100 Nazi scalps.
Yeah.
And
And I
will-
want my scalps.
and I will collect.
Yeah.
That's it.
So, like, then his storyline with the storyboarding of him getting the Hugo Schwitz, who's a Nazi.
Yeah.
He just hates Nazi. He goes around killing Nazi. He goes, you're the man. There's nothing more we like killing Nazis.
Yeah.
But come kill Nazis with us.
That's it, yeah.
What's Eli Roth's character? I can't remember what it is.
The bear Jew.
The bear Jew.
That's it,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
He has the baseball
and
bat,
Hugo
doesn't he?
Stieglitz.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I'm sorry, yeah.
did you know? Apparently, the bit where he's
With the
in there, apparently, like Tarantino kept him. He wouldn't do his scene for ages. He said, "Not today." So, like when
Oh,
he's,
no
getting,
way. Oh,
he's
wow.
getting hyped up.
Oh,
So
right.
when he finally comes out with that massive
Yeah.
swag, he's
Yeah.
gone right now action.
Yeah.
Oh, no way. That's
And he's
cool.
come
That's
out
good.
fucking full swing,
Yeah.
and then they
Wow.
never see him, and it's like, the characters of that. There's so many good supporting actors,
Yes.
like, and or is it even the woman actress? She
Diane
is
Kruger.
So,
Yeah.
she is so good. Like the way she loses this.
And we've all, there's so many people
The
in this.
tension in that
Michael
bar-
Fassbender's
that
in this
bar
as well.
scene.
Yeah,
That's right.
that bar scene is one of my favourites.
Finally,
It's
it's
so good.
And the great thing about like Christoph Waltz characters is like he knows
Yeah.
that you know that he knows.
Yeah.
So like when he sees the woman, he's like, "Wait for creme, the
He's
creme,"
fucking
and
scared,
you're like,
man.
"Oh shit, he knows," because that's what he asked for when he saw her.
Yeah.
And then like the lost shoe at the end, and he brings it out, and you're like, "Oh, the overacting
Yeah.
when he's laughing at the end."
He's such a maniacal little fucker.
like,
though,
it's
isn't
an
he?
evil laugh, and he's easily
He's
one of my
such a good
favourite
actor.
movie villains
Yeah.
because he's terrible, but he's not, but he is.
But he is.
He's the most I just like the way that they go the full murder. Like Tarantino does murder revenge great,
Oh yeah.
and I would like to think that's how the war ended.
You're right. It's
That
kind
was
of
his
like
that was his alternate timeline.
again, you just nailed it there. It's a war film and a revenge film at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
where she
she-
tries to lock him in
she's-
the cinema and stuff,
knows.
isn't it? Yeah.
And I think she's annoyed because she doesn't get him. Like, I mean, she doesn't know she doesn't get him, but
She does.
the
get
one
him,
person that she actually wanted, she doesn't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because he
obviously-
strikes a deal at the end, doesn't he?
strikes a deal,
Yeah.
and like, I won't oblige. I'll get chewed out. I've been chewed out before.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just takes his scalp.
So it takes a scalp. Yeah. You're getting better at that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Like, literally, because it is one of my favourite films, and like, it's not so much a war film, it's just like France occupied of Nazis. So,
Yeah.
Again, a story centered around that event, isn't it?
and
So
not only, like, another favourite character of mine, is it Daniel Bruhl? Like, the guy who was out of Avengers, or the...
Oh, he's Baron Zemo, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the guy who gets in Ultron.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Daniel
Yeah, Bruhl.
Bruhl, yeah. Where is he? He's
we've got
that guy.
oh yes. Beg your pardon. Yes, yeah. And he plays the film. He plays the actor, doesn't he? That's right. Yes.
And she's coming in. And he's the sniper in this film, but like now with any film that I see him in, you
go back to that.
I'll go. No, I will see a film with him in now. Like he's instantly
because of that.
One of my characters. Like, he's in it. I like it because most of the films he's now been in,
he's actually a pretty good actor.
Really good actor. So he's one of. So there's so many good actors in there who don't overstay their welcome, like Brad Pitt. I didn't know how Brad Pitt would work.
Brad Pitt trying to be Italian is the best fucking thing ever.
He goes, I talk the third best, and it's like,
Brad Pitt trying to be Irish.
See, correcto.
Apart from Brad Pitt trying to be Irish.
True, yeah, that is true, yeah.
Brad Pitt doesn't try to be a show stealer. He doesn't try to be, I'm Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I'm the A-list.
Yeah, he's not in it.
He wanted to work for, I think, Tarantino sort of thing. So, and obviously, then he was in One Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Got an Academy Award for that.
I just love. I could put this film on anytime, and it's my favourite Tarantino film, and it's easily easily with Tarantino. My Tarantino's are pretty much back reverse, I think, to most people's.
Well, that's good. I'll be honest, mine's a Hateful Eight. I really enjoy Hateful Eight.
I love that.
That's my favourite.
I like all of his films, to be honest.
I mean, of course, I like all his films, but everyone's like Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. But for me, Hateful Eight is fucking
Jackie Brown over like Reservoir Dogs and
really
Pulp for me. Yeah, I just love how.
It's very hard for me to put them in order, shall we say, or I like this one better than that one.
We're splitting hairs.
I like them all.
10-1.
If a film comes on and it's a Tarantino movie, I'll just watch it.
Always. Even Grindhouse.
But I must admit, I do.
Death Proof.
Death Proof's good.
Machete.
Anything else on Inglourious Basterds, sir?
No, it's just one of those films that you don't expect a true depiction of war, but you'll be happy with the way that they blow those Nazis.
The way they blow Hitler up.
They go over the top and they burn them all, and they just go over the.
Hitler's a fucking sponge bullet in that.
I must admit, I like the look on Lander's face at the very end when he's with Rains and the other guy, and he's pleaded with Brad Pitt for him and the two of them to get away, sort of thing, because he's helped them to set up the others.
I had an agreement with that man.
And he turns around and he goes, "Yeah, right," he just shoots him out of nowhere, and he goes, "I had an agreement. For his life," and he turns around to the guy and he goes. When he gets back, he'll mingle with people and people won't know who he is. I need people to know who he is. He said, I want his scalp. So the bloke gets out the knife and just takes off. And
I will get my scalps.
Carves the swastika on his forehead. It's the look on his face as he's doing it. I think, fuck it. That's pure Tarantino.
Even Mike Myers is in that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the British guy who sets Michael Fassbender on his thing, isn't he?
Yeah.
You got Churchill in the background, and then Michael
Myers. I was thinking, no.
As in Austin Powers, Mike Myers. Beg pardon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what I've always wondered is there's not many war films that I normally see from the German side. Yeah. Like, is that sniper one in the film? Do you know if it's a real cinema film or if I'm not sure. He would shoot his own fake war movie as a sniper in the belt.
I can imagine they did something like that to beef the troops up or something, maybe.
They would have done
based on some sort of story.
Yeah, America's done it a bunch of times. I'm sure Germany's done it at some point as well.
Yeah, propaganda.
Yeah, there's so much propaganda in it. I mean, and spyglasses.
Yes,
when he clocks it, it's the terror and that not.
The look on his face when he spots it, though, you're like...
Don't mind me talking if I'm going to go out, talking the king's tongue. And he's like, good chap.
Yeah, that's it. Now, about this pickle.
About this pickle.
Michael Fassbender's amazing.
And then then it goes Tarantino, which is over-the-top violence, which is great. Because, mate, he's just trying to...
And it's quick, though.
Yeah.
It's not like it's... Like the shootout scene in Django, where it goes on for a bit. It's like there's a shootout, blah, 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 a few people dead, done. That's it. Even the opening scene when he shoots the Jews, quick, done. But you get the point of it, is what I'm trying to get at. Isn't it? So,
Yeah, no, I love it, and it had to be my number one just because of how...
Good pick, sir. Very good pick. Any honourable mentions? I will go to Howard for this one because he is the man with the 3 mile list. Off you go, sir.
No, I won't elaborate on it.
No, please do. Don't fucking hold back, for Christ's sake.
Go for it.
The Dirty Dozen.
Yes.
The Imitation Game.
Yes.
Set during wartime. Inglourious Bastards.
Yes.
Empire of the Sun.
Love it.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, good film.
1941. Pattern.
Yes.
General Patton. 633 Squadron.
Steven Spielberg,
Yes, I had
Squadron. Yeah,
633 Squadron, good film.
Downfall.
Oh,
Yes.
that's on mine.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. Again, this is from Hitler's perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's about time someone done that.
And when I was writing this list, it's one of those ones I looked at it, I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I need to go and watch that. Schindler's List.
Yeah, of course.
I tell you, the day I watched, first time, Downfall followed by Schindler's List. I
Oh,
thought,
really?
Let's go full hog today. Let's go full war out. And you just said it in the perfect, it's exactly how I watched it. And I was like,
Have you ever seen all those memes where
the Ronaldo ones and the football ones and the Xbox. Every time.
it's all with the
They don't stop.
they done it with the ending of what's it called? Ending of Game of Thrones. And he's standing there going, "Hey, sweet wait."
When he takes off his glasses, it's just like... I kind of wish they did it back. He's like, oh,
It's so good. It's always that same scene from Downfall. It's amazing.
Have you taken your gamer points? Anybody with a PlayStation gets out. No, Downfall was a great pick.
Good pick. So what else you got?
Full Metal Jacket.
Of course.
Platoon.
Yeah.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Bridge over the River Kwai.
Yes.
Alec Guinness, isn't it?
Good
Yeah.
classic
I did not
film.
get... it was such a letdown for me, that one.
Oh,
because
really?
I was expecting some sort... I was expecting expecting a war film,
Yeah.
and all they were
Was building a bridge.
Efficiently, I might add. Like, the guy was like, we're going to do it properly, and we're going to do it well.
yeah.
And I was like... this is not the film I was expecting. I really wasn't. And I was like, at some point, and I was like, oh.
When does the action kick in?
Yeah, when does the action kick in?
Still set during wartime.
Yeah, still set.
I don't know if you heard of this one. Von Ryan's Express.
Yes, watched it a few times.
Very good film.
Frank Sinatra.
Yeah. The Guns of Navarone.
Yes.
Force 10 from Navarone.
That's right.
Dam Busters.
Yeah.
Oh.
What a film. Damn Busters. Yeah.
We're not going to go into what the dog's called.
Yeah, this has been on a podcast before.
Memphis Belle.
Yes.
Nice.
Did you know on the Memphis Belle?
Oh, hang on.
I went to the filming of that film.
Did you?
Yes.
And he met you too.
And I was invited by David Putnam, the director.
Really?
Yes, because I go to their airport, Duxford Airfield, where they have Memphis, one of the planes, Memphis Belle there, and I always go to the air shows there, and we happened to be there one day. They weren't filming it that particular day, and they were like sizing the place up and the planes and stuff like that, and we knew some of the people, and they said to us, "Oh, you should come and meet these people. They're going to be putting this film together, you know." And this is kind of how so they invited us up there on the day that they were doing all the filming. So we were in the background. We're not in the film, obviously, but
I was about to say that.
no, not in the film. But you know, what a thing to watch.
Did you meet Putnam?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was really, really good. So
John meets
that was
everybody.
on my list, but I would have said it on my list, but you've mentioned it. So
I don't know if any of you have heard of this one. A Matter of Life and Death.
No.
With
Name rings a bell.
David Niven. All right, I won't spoil it because it's got element. It's wartime, but it's got sort of it probably falls into the realm of a bit science fiction here at some point.
Okay.
You might enjoy it, so I won't spoil that one.
Okay.
Greyhound.
Oh, yeah.
yes, Greyhound.
Isn't it such a good film? Yeah, I mean, I love Tom Hanks
The
anyway.
Apple film, yeah.
Yeah, and he sells it.
That's the boat one, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yes, yeah.
That's it, yeah, where they're trying to get the supplies.
And he wears his shoes for ages. And the slippers and stuff. Yeah, I know, yeah.
But tension on the edge of this sort of gets you on a seat. Edge of the seat, and you're rooting for him the whole time. And obviously, it comes to a satisfying conclusion. But Apocalypse Now,
Overrated.
Yep. Ditto.
Moving on swiftly.
wow,
Yeah.
wow,
People are not listening going,
Super overrated movie.
Black Hawk Down.
Nice. I'm
Yes.
very, very surprised that was on no one's list.
See,
Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
I know,
it was
Yeah.
like I was.
So-
it was either that or Benghazi. Like I was.
Yes.
I'm in an hour, and I thought maybe Black Hawk Down was more likely to be on.
I thought it might have been on John's list
The only
personally.
reason
But
that one is not on my one compared to Benghazi is it's like 2 hours and it's a real long film.
Yeah.
So
It's non-stop though.
it's
Black Hawk
non-stop,
Down.
and one of the best sniper scenes, like those two chopper guys, when they're just taking on loads. They only go because they run out of bullets, but like the intention of them just raining those snipers.
The reason it's not on on my main list or anywhere close to the top is because I tried to stick to like Second World War and around that sort of era. So for me, it's a modern, an amazing film, but a modern film. But it deserves to be there.
So
Good shout, sir. Have you got any, sir?
Yeah,
Go for it.
Green Zone,
Oh, yeah.
War Horse,
Oh,
Red
I've never
Tails.
seen that.
War Horse is good.
First
Man.
World War
It's
one.
it's
Red Tails is such an underrated film.
Yes.
I look at it. and
Which
I'm
which
like,
one? What's underrated?
Red Tails.
Red Tails. Yeah. That's the plane one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, with the Black Squadron who
That's
were
right, yeah.
finally allowed to fly
Yeah.
against.
Did you know that is actually George Lucas's last film, but he isn't credited
Yes.
to direct it?
Oh,
You're
wow.
right. Yeah, it is.
It was his.
Okay.
So he put it down as directed,
Yeah.
didn't it? And then all of a sudden he took his name off of it for some
Yeah.
reason, didn't
Oh,
he?
weird.
No idea why.
Darkest Hour.
yes.
What else? Other ones? Oh, one of my favourites, The Wall. If any of you've ever
Yes,
watched
the
it.
sniper one.
Yeah, fuck me.
The
That,
tension.
that's on my list of war films with a twist. So I'm going to keep that.
That's
for,
like one-
That's in the bag for another day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one of those movies that where
What
they're
else we
just
got?
shot in one scene.
War Machine. Ever seen War Machine?
No.
Don't know
War
that.
Machine's good. Brad Pitt.
Right.
That is, again, I think it's underrated because the character that he plays, as far as I've seen it a long time ago. I believe it's based on a true story, and I think the guy he portrays is basically laughed at, but there's more to him than meets the eye, kind of thing. It's
Like a Transformer.
I thought it was quite a good film. What else we got? Fury.
Yeah.
1917.
Brad Pitt again.
I'm surprised no one put 1917. That's why I didn't put it on my list. I thought,
1917, yeah.
that's got to be on someone's list.
The reason that one is
Yeah.
a great film, I think it loses for me where they do it so well in shooting it in two continuous zones,
Yeah.
like shots, because you
Yeah.
just follow him all the way, don't you?
Yeah.
I think you lose out on a bit of tension over here, a bit of action over here, a bit of a.
zero in
And
yeah.
I'm watching it as that was a cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah.
And like, it hits enough of it to be
Yeah.
good, but not enough to be wowing for me on that
We
one.
got Midway,
Yes,
Oh,
that's on mine.
And All Quiet on the Western Front. But I think, did you mention that already?
No, I didn't.
No.
No.
All
Good
Quiet on
call.
the Western Front.
Good
The new one.
Yep.
The new
Yep.
one. Operation Mincemeat.
Oh,
It's only been out about 2 or 3 years. It's not been out very long.
I've heard of this,
Colin Firth, very good film. Again, based on a true story.
right.
So, you know, I thought it was quite interesting. There was a film I wanted to put on here, but I haven't watched it, but Ant has. And I wanted to watch it. Sisu.
Sisu, yeah.
I've got
I
it.
thought you'd seen it.
No, I've got it to watch. I'll probably watch it tonight when I go home.
Okay.
But I wanted to put it on the list.
It's an honourable mention, but you hadn't seen it.
because I know the story of it, sort of thing. So I'm not going in blind. I've got a fair idea of it. So again, like I said, you know, it's a war film.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to put it on there. And I
So,
thought I won't put
war film if you're John Wick fanatic.
well, yeah. Was there anything else?
John
John Whiff.
John Whiff, yeah. Stalingrad, but we
Yep.
touched on that slightly with the
Enemies
at the
at
gates. Narvik is another one that's quite good. That's about the set in Finland during when the Russians and whatever invaded and whatever, and then the Germans invaded as well. So that was kind of one after the other.
Pesky German.
Yeah, yeah, that was pesky Germans. And I'm sure there's one more. Where is it? White Tiger. That's
Never heard of
quite good.
Chris, you got any?
Yeah, I've got a few. There was ones that a few which didn't kind of fall in the parameters, which was Braveheart was one of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
It's
also
war. It's
Well,
but
now fucking Master Commander's in there. You could have had it.
yeah,
So.
and there was another one
Oi,
which I
oi.
kind of took out.
You
because-
didn't say how far back. You just said An actual,
Howard,
20th
you
century.
said an actual.
I thank you very
conflict.
much.
Oh, no, I didn't get that bit then.
And I had.
I didn't get that part of the memo. I just saw war. I
swear he just looks at the pictures on the WhatsApp group. He doesn't actually read the fucking thing. It's like a pop-up book. He just sees the pictures.
Come on, it's a war film.
It's a war.
Yeah, the film with Daniel Day-Lewis, The Last of the Mohicans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking, well, if I'm not maybe too far back, but that was intense. Like some of the gore in that,
Brilliant.
Mark a Man as well.
Yeah, the one that would definitely have been on my list, but I'd only seen it once, so I couldn't truly put it out there to talk about it, which was Unbroken.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I love.
Is that the one that's done by Angelina Jolie? She directed that one.
So,
I think she
the
did.
one where you've got where he's in
The British guy,
Japan,
isn't it?
Yeah. And he's an old Olympian.
That's right. Yeah.
And you got the prisoner of war camp, but then you have the scenes where they're like on the raft for ages. It's really
I know.
tense.
I know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. But
I remember watching that, going, "Oh, that was brilliant."
I know what film you're on.
I wanted to be on it, but I couldn't talk about it enough to
Sure.
know. 12 Strong with
Yes.
Hemsworth.
Yep.
Obviously, we said Darkest Hour, Medway, Defiance with Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yeah.
Daniel Craig.
Three Kings.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what I was going to mention about that one? I thought, is it official? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like, and then there's like, and the other one, which I'm not sure if it's called Beneath Hill 60.
Yes, I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, where like
First World War.
Yeah,
right?
First World War, and
yeah.
they tunnel
Yeah.
underneath
That's
the no man's land all the way to
That is a good film.
Hill 60. But it's a one war film where
Again, based on true story.
they're all whispering because
Yeah.
they're in the tunnels. The Germans are only behind a bit of mud, and like the tension of them coming through the walls. And they put like, I think it's like is either 1 million or £1,000 worth of ammonia.
I think it's 100,000. Yeah.
And the
It's
blast
the
was
biggest.
so big, it was felt in England.
Yeah.
It was one of those. It was the first.
The crater is
bomb
still
for
there.
that day. You know,
Still there today.
and they killed tens of thousands of
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
But
Damn.
this movie.
I think it's about half a mile across or something.
Where
this
did
whole
it take place?
France, I think it was
Yeah,
France or
no,
Belgium.
Belgium. This is in
one or two.
Yardan.
First World War.
Yeah. So, but it's not one of those characters that's got no one in it. It's a bit of a.
Is this the
B?
film that was only a couple of years ago? It's not that long ago.
2010.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
is another one, but the good thing about art that the British tunnelers, we found a way of digging with our feet,
Yes.
the spades, and like that, and they could go 3 times as quicker. And
They weren't allowed. They weren't. If I remember the film right, they weren't allowed to join up. They weren't allowed to be soldiers because of the mining. So they were kept behind to serve the war effort. Shall
fill
we say.
another role,
So
yeah.
when it came to this, then they come up with this plan of digging tunnels under the battlefield to go under the German trenches and to basically blow them up. They needed miners.
Yeah.
I have never
So
seen.
they came
anything-
back to England to find
Yeah.
people that would come and do it.
But this one's set by the Australian command. But I'd never seen a World War One sort of film because this was before 1917.
Yeah.
So the trench foot and that way of the conditions they had
Oh, it
to
was brilliant.
were awful. Like so, yeah.
You probably die of disease more than a bullet in the head.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of hoping your second list would be like old films. So I wanted,
sorry, mate.
I really wanted Battle of the Bulge on my list. And
Sounds like a porno.
yeah, I know, it probably is.
It is.
And is it The Longest Day? Because I think
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think
I've
that
heard
cast
a
has
bit.
about who
For its time, that was a very
you got
long
Michael-
film.
like, every single person's on there.
Yeah,
It's
I think
they're all
every
youngsters,
known
but
actor in the
at the
world
time-
was
Now
in it.
looking back, you're like, bloody hell! How much would that cost now to get those
you couldn't-
people in
you-
there?
I don't think you could make that now.
Um,
The wages alone for all the actors would have
Oh, it
sunk
would have
it
crippled.
long ago.
Yeah.
and there was one, and I think it's called Jacob's Ladder.
Yes.
With,
Oh,
with
yeah.
Robin
With
Williams.
Tim Roth.
Tim,
Is it
no,
Tim Roth? or
Tim
the-
Roth.
Tim-
Not Tim Roth.
Jacob's
Tim
Ladder.
Robbins.
Tim Robbins.
Is,
Tim
it,
Robbins.
is it Jacob's Ladder? There's one with Robin Williams, and he manages. They say that he has a radio, and he
Good Morning Vietnam.
no. This one, he's a Jew, like in like this Jew compound. He lies that he has, or it's either Jacob's Liar or Jacob's Ladder, and he
It's
lies.
not Jacob's Ladder because that's a horror film.
Or liar, and he says that he says that he could hear like the Allied invasions on a radio, but obviously you're not allowed radios as Jews at that time, and he's just giving a bit of hope. And basically,
Never heard of this movie.
Robin Williams, it's no comedy in it. It's just the tension of him, like, people going, tell us about it. And then like it starts spreading that he has a radio. He's like, I don't have a fucking radio. All he did is he went to the Germans' headquarters, overheard a radio announcement while he was in there. And then, so it was just one of those films that I'd remember watching. I should have gone to bed. And whatever reason, there's a film on. I'm going to watch it for no reason other than
fucking rebel.
Like, Mum, I'm watching this Jew film. Like,
it's for school. We're learning about Jews.
And it's just like, you're like, oh, quick, they're coming up. Just turn it off. But there's so like the horrible one, the Schindler's List are so hard to sort of watch, and it's hard to say, I love that film. For the horrors.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to say you like Schindler's List because of that. Yeah, I see what your point.
I think you watch these films to learn a harsh lesson, don't you?
Yes.
We need to watch these films because we always talk about, you must never forget, and you must never forget, and that's what those films are there for.
Yeah.
No.
Any others?
No, I think, you said The Dirty Dozen, didn't you?
Yes,
and Lone Survivor.
Yes.
Yes, with
and obviously American Sniper, but that one lost me when he goes home and it was a bit.
I do like Lone Survivor though.
Lone Survivor's
good.
Yeah. Apparently, it was so tame compared to what he went through.
Mark Wahlberg, isn't it?
Yeah. But they made it look like a holiday camp. Like I saw an interview with the guy, and he's like,
and he goes through some brutal shit in that film.
That whole ending with the village, that's all true, and he still makes it like it's really good. I'll just on a separate note that if you need to go out there and watch Band of Brothers, which is a TV show, which is a long,
of course,
and obviously on the flip side, the Pacific. They're not movies.
Pacific's not as good though as Band of Brothers.
No, they're not. But
it's similar.
It was good enough for me to go.
There's meant to be a third one coming soon, isn't there? Yeah,
sold.
But it's to do with the airfields, all the planes and stuff. Sorry, big one. So that'd be quite good. Like Red Tails, but as in like a TV series.
There's one. It's coming on Apple Plus. I think it's next month.
Isn't there a new film on Amazon or something about? It's got the Black Combat pilot. I think it might. I don't know what it's called, but I watched it. It was a decent aerial film. It was just on either. I think it's got to be.
Is that the one with Jonathan Majors in it?
Yes, that's him.
Yeah.
China.
Yeah. I know the one.
Good
okay.
film.
I need to figure out which one it is.
That film you're on about on the digging the tunnel and blowing up. You're on about the Australian film.
Yes, that's Beneath Hill 60, but the one where you
the latest one,
you see him with the store.
The War Below. I think you've seen that one.
That is the one where they dig.
It's called the War Below, and that's where they go back to England and get the tunnellers from England to do it.
Yeah,
but they weren't all English. There was Australian and English and whatever. Basically, Allied group went out and done it. But the latest, I think it's only a couple of years old. It's called the War Below, and that is amazing.
It's a real weird way of because war films are so loud. They've got stethoscopes. And they're on the wall.
You can't even fart in them tunnels.
You can't even cough. You're giving away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do very well on that.
It's pretty much a game of
none of us would. Jesus, we'd get about 10 feet and. But that is the tension in these films are amazing.
I've only got a couple because pretty much everyone's done me. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but a Korean film called Brotherhood. It's again seen it from their side. Very, very good film. Atonement.
Yes, I know of that.
Again, it's not as much of very much of a chick flick film, but it's centered around that era of World War II, and there's actually a part when he's on the beach of Dunkirk, isn't it? It's a very long, fantastic one shot. I think it's like 3 minutes long, so very, very good. John Woo did a war film, Wind Talkers, with Nicolas Cage. Remember that?
Nicolas Cage,
Thin Red Line as
again,
well.
True story.
Casualties of War with Michael J. Fox and Sean Penn.
Oh my God,
yes.
That's Vietnam, I believe, that one. I think, Universal Soldier? I'm only joking. Do you remember when I said, there's a film I watched and it wasn't historically accurate? Everyone fucking hated me for liking it. U571.
Oh, no, I love that.
Oh, yes.
And also Enigma.
Enigma as well, yes,
but the Americans didn't find the Enigma.
I know they didn't, but as a movie, I have to admit it's fucking enjoyable.
Yes, I like
really good film.
And who's in
it?
Matthew McConaughey,
yes.
Bill Paxton, John Bon Jovi,
and
Harvey Keitel,
and
no, go on.
Isn't that the one with Harrison Ford?
No, that's K19.
Oh, yes, of course it is. Yeah,
yes.
Widowmaker.
No, your dad's not in it, mate. Sorry. That would have been the first mention. That would have been the first mention.
Thin Red Line and Hamburger Hill.
Yes.
Hamburger's Walter Hill movie, isn't it?
Yeah, that's really nail biting.
There's just so many. We could just keep going.
That's
to the
what I
next-
mean. It was
I'm sure
just
someone
so
will comment
many-
below and fill in the extras, but hey,
Yeah.
fuck you. Should have been in the episode. We need to cut it there, guys, because it's nearly 3 fucking hours. So we'll end it there, guys.
Thank you.
Big thanks for listening, guys.
Yes.
And obviously, like what you listen to, follow us on Facebook at
Yes,
the
go
M.T.V.B
and look 'em up,
podcast.
guys. Go and look 'em
Instagram MTV Podcast and in TikTok at MTV Podcast 197. I'm joined by myself, Ant-Man, as well as
JK47.
Sergeant Chris.
H, the man with 2 lists.
guys. Thank you for being on the episode. Really
Thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me, Anne.
No problem,
Thank you, guys.
mate,
No,
no
thank you for
problem.
coming on last minute, Chris. I appreciate it. Anytime,
You
sir.
always say, get on the fucking podcast.
Yeah.
And he did. Thank you very much, guys. Good night.
Good night.